上一秒经历了什么，都达不到我们好战的心。全力以赴，定能闪耀。生而好战，永不言弃。
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day of the StarsWar 11 EU and America's Closed Qualifier, day number 4. I'm, of course, your Sly VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the amazing people in the chat and by these amazing players as well. As we are nearing the end of the qualifier, we're nearing the end here as we already have 2 players qualified. For those that are curious, it is top 3. Top 3 actually make it through into the main event. Spirit and Skillus are already in that top 3. But as you can see, math on stream, there are 4 players left and only 3 slots available. A qualification match is going to be later on in the evening. It's going to be Rainer versus Showtime to determine who qualifies and who gets knocked out here and now in the StarsWar 11 EU and NA Closed Qualifier. To start things off though, we have a PvT, Skillus and Spirit. They've proven themselves to be the best here amongst all players in the bracket. Again, Spirit, he's one of the best Terrans in Europe. Skillus, likewise, one of the best Protosses in Europe as well. And Skillus especially had some pretty goddamn impressive results. I was shocked, I was surprised. If you're unaware, Skillus knocked down both Showtime and Rainer. Skillus, he has been on fire in this tournament. I've been very impressed. I mean, Skillus, he's always been an amazing player. Don't get me wrong, he's always been amazing at what he does. But I would say he's like top 3 Protoss in the EU, and I would favor Showtime. I would favor Rainer over Skillus, and he brought both of them down. So Skillus, he's on fire. He has been looking so damn good. But now he's up against Spirit. You know, Skillus, he's proven his worth. He's proven his mettle against other Protoss players in the PvP, proven it against other Zerg players in the PvZ. Now we go for the trifecta, the Terran player, Spirit. We have to test every matchup here of Skillus, and to be fair, PvT, this is pre-patch. You know, the patch is still in PTR, the new upcoming patch is still not live, and this matchup is arguably working against Skillus's favor here. So we'll see if Skillus can bounce back. We'll see if he can maintain himself and keep the run alive, keep the dream alive. I want hope, I want to believe. Oh, here we go. We have our vetoes, we have our players before us. Skillus with his lovely cam. Unfortunately, Spirit, no cam available from him. A little bit of a feels bad, man. But regardless, we have our vetoes. We have Hardlead, we have Solaris being vetoed by Skillus. Some of these smaller maps have been vetoed, makes sense. Meanwhile, the larger maps have been vetoed by Spirit, Equilibrium, and Radisson Station. So we've gotten rid of the extreme ends of large and small, and now we have everything in between. We have Golden Aura, followed by Hecate, Sight Delta, Oceanborn, and Alcyone. Those are our 5 maps here. It's going to be a best of 5. Who will advance on? I mean, again, the pressure is a little bit off. Both these players have already qualified for the main event, but they're still playing for seeding and for a boost in that prize money. So there is still quite a bit of money on the line here, and of course, the winner of this will advance on to the grand finals. The loser gets knocked down to face off against the winner of Showtime and Rainer in the lower bracket finals. There you go. Catching up. We are catching up. Does anyone know when the new patch will be live in Australia? The new patch, when it does go live, it should be live. I think it's usually live in the Americas first, but only by a day. But here we go. We're diving into our game. Into game 1, and in the bottom right hand corner we have Skillus for Team Liquid. In the top left we have Spirit from Na'Vi. Let's go. Now, very quickly, before I get ahead of myself, before I forget, predictions in the chat are going to be delayed. But if you're in the chat, if you want to get your gamba going, then don't you worry, because the predictions will soon be open. So you can start thinking about who you want to place your bets on. Again, Skillus has been looking damn good, but Spirit is still an amazing player in his own right. I would be surprised if this is a 3-0 in either direction. Would be surprised. We'll see. Upper bracket finals. Alright, we have Spirit and we have Skillus. Beautiful. If you're in the chat, predictions are now open for the next 2 minutes. For the next 2 minutes here, predictions open. There you go. You can place your bets on how you believe this series will unfold and how you think this series will turn out. So best of luck, everyone. Best of luck. As for now, we're just settling into our openers themselves. We are just settling in. We do have our Probe Scout moving out across the map here from the side of Skillous. And again, Skillous, he himself, I think, has even admitted that he's been working on PvT, that it is the matchup that he is still trying to improve upon, still trying to really refine. And I haven't casted Skillous against a Terran player in quite some time. I'm excited to see how he does perform. I think the most recent performance or recent result that I remember is that Nickerack did bring him down. I remember seeing an upset where Nickerack was able to bring Skillous down, and I was very impressed there by Nickerack. Again, Nickerack, another up-and-coming player that has been really getting some better and better results over the past couple of weeks and the past couple of months. But again, you know, that was a one-off thing, potentially. We'll see. We'll see if Spirit can live up to what other Terrans have accomplished, or if Skillous has been improving. For now, nothing too crazy. It was an economic opener out of Spirit, going for that factory as a follow-up, so CC then into factory. So something much more economic out of Spirit. Probe Scout did confirm that, as I believe we were able to get within range of the CC. Reaper getting across the map and is going to apply a bit of pressure here. Going to poke, going to prod, but shouldn't really get too much done here. So far, Skill's doing a great job at keeping up, and he should cancel the shade, gets a shot off, and forces that Reaper to back the hell off. With that, we have our tech of choice. Not a Twilight Council, it's a Stargate. So Stargate opener out of Skillous should be going into Oracle production. Meanwhile, the Reaper is going to try and bypass the Adept. Does slip into the main. Yeah, Adept slightly out of position. The Reaper does get behind the mineral line, and it looks like we will get a full scout off. We do get behind, and we get eyes on the Stargate. Big scout there by Spirit. He's now fully aware of what's going on, and now he's getting ready back at home. Even uses the KDA charge to escape. Very nice control out of Spirit. Skillous, meanwhile, was unable to deny that scout. He has been found out, and the likelihood of his Phoenixes getting much damage done is pretty low. Now that we've seen the Stargate, now that we know about the Phoenixes, Spirit should be amassing Cyclones, should be preparing the rest of his army. We could even go for a Viking first. As we can see, that is not a Viking first, that is going to be a Medevac first. Okay, so Spirit really wants to be in the face of his opponent, really wants to try to apply as much pressure as possible here, and maybe even get some damage done, or even catch a Phoenix. We'll see. We shall see. So now, Phoenixes are amassing. Again, Spirit, he's fully aware of that at this point. He is aware of said Phoenixes. Back at home, that is going to be a second Cyclone on the way. He's continuing marine production. He has not set up for a mine drop. Very important to take note of that. And this early move out, I love it here from Spirit. Honestly, in the early game, when you go for a Stargate opener, you're so vulnerable as a Protoss because your Phoenixes can't really do much. They have to lift up one unit at a time to actually defend and kill units. And they move out. They do catch the Medevac, but what do we have on the ground? We need a shield battery. We need a shield battery. We need as many units as possible. We do have a couple of Adepts. I know that much. We have a handful of Adepts. The Phoenixes are coming back home. The Interceptor's coming in. Spirit, can he catch him? He will. He does catch one Phoenix, and he will get the other as well. Massive loss for Skillous. Two Phoenixes go down, and just like that, I think that may be too much damage. He's throwing down another pylon just to keep everything powered. He has that shield battery. He has an overcharge. He has 3 Adepts, 1 Stalker, 1 Phoenix. He pulls the boys, and he needs time for that immortal. Damage is going to be done, and probes are going down. Boys are falling. Shield battery got targeted. We get 13 worker kills. The immortal is finally going to come out, but it's too little too late. 16 probes have already gone down. The damage was dealt. Good push here by Spirit. Again, just punishing the vulnerability of the Protoss player that goes for a Stargate opener. On top of that, able to just outmaneuver and catch out those Phoenixes was massive. And with that, we're not done. Not even close, as finally the Medevacs are going to be able to... Sorry, the Cyclones are going to be shut down, but they get 20 probe kills in total. An insane amount of damage. And just like that, Skillous, he's all in. Honestly, like Skillous, he has to make a miracle happen here to bounce back in this series. He's down heavily in workers, down in economy. He's rebuilding. He's going for a bay. He could try to go for disruptors as he loses another Phoenix. Ay. Not like this. So another Phoenix does fall. Behind this again, the bay is still in production. That could be for Colossi or Disruptors. It's a tough decision to make here in this position. It might be worth going Disruptor just for like a Hail Mary Nova. But again, those are few and far between. And Spirit, he's a good enough player where he can avoid those Novas as well. He is good enough. Yeah, behind this, he's just building up towards his timing. There's no rush. There's no rush for Spirit. He's already ahead. He's just getting into stim. Combat chills. Quite a bit of a supply block. The supply. Oh god, this is a brutal supply block actually for Spirit. That does help Skillus at least a little bit, but we can see Spirit, he's working on a third CC. He himself is not going all in. He's not, again, just pulling the trigger too early. He's not getting too antsy by any means. Spirit, he's just chilling, he's stable, and we'll see if Skillus can survive the eventual push of Spirit. For now, we do have detection, we do have our Phoenixes being active, so the other way that Skillus could come back here is if Spirit goes for drop play instead of a main push, then there's a chance that the medevacs could be caught out. There is a chance here that you could punish Spirit for being a little bit too active and too mobile and not really respecting the presence of Skillus. But the army is moving out. Tanks are going to be sieging up. We get the salvage on the bunker. Nice control out of Spirit, saving that Marauder as well. And you can see that Skillus cannot deny the third. It just can't be done. There's too much on the ground. Spirit, a bit of an ambitious stim there to try to chase down the army. He may have to stim a second time as he barely does get a sentry. There you go, he gets a sentry. Good force field TR to Skillus, making the best out of a bad situation. The Colossi does arrive. We get the Colossi. We're forcing back the army. Again, a bit of a haphazard attack by Skillus. But he is holding. He's barely holding on, fighting out of range of the tanks. Again, Spirit a little bit too trigger happy there to dive on that army when he did. I think it was a little bit too cavalier, a little bit too adventurous of Spirit. He did bleed out a lot of units. A good moment for Skillus, but he needs more. He needs more of these good moments. Phoenixes are going to be able to get a couple of hits in. There's not too many Marines, so we can shave off some HP. Likewise, the tanks are slowly freaking forward. Skillus is going for Sky Toss, by the way. Oh my god, that's the second Stargate. There's Fleet Beacon, +1 air attack. We're trying to rush into Sky Toss. I mean, that's another way to come back in this game. If Spirit gives Skillus too much time, then we can bounce back, but that's a big if. That is going to be a big if here. As Skillus again, just hoping for the Doom drop into the main. And he's slowly buying time. Fleet Beacon is now done. Second Stargate has finished up. We are amassing Phoenixes just to deny any kind of drop play for the time being. I almost said extend the Malance. We do have annual pulse crystals on the way. That is Phoenix range. And we're not getting into carriers yet. We're still just massing pure Phoenix. Or Phoenix Colossus. Again, not something you see too often. But it is a really good way to just gain map control. Shut down drop play. Even harass across the map. But from here, we should be working towards something like carrier production. Or Tempest. Either or. They both have their place. Here we go. As we are just going to be settling in. The army once again moving out. This time with EMPs. This time with Vikings. Tempests are on the way, but we need more time. Wow, we do need more time. As you can see, Skillus, he's working towards a third Stargate, more Tempest as well. There's a world, if he's given like 30 seconds, like let him get a wave of Tempest in, then maybe he can hold on. Scan does reveal the army. That's 4 Colossi on the ground. Skillus, can we hold? Tempests have been revealed. Big scout. Big scan there by Spirit. He now knows. He now knows what is going on. We do see Spirit pulling back upon seeing those Tempests. Spirit doesn't commit, not yet. He is up in supply, by the way. Spirit, he has a massive supply advantage. Carriers now in production. Can Skillus hold? Can he survive? Now, the scary thing about what's happening right now is that both armies are maxing out. Spirit will max out first, and the reality is that Spirit has a better army. Without Storm, without Disruptors, there's nothing to stop him. And oh, that's a lot of Vikings. The reality is that this Skytoss army from Skillus isn't looking too imposing as it otherwise would be. There's not enough support. A good kiting so far with the Vikings. Phoenixes are going down. Spirit just having his way with this army. He's going for the Tempest. Oh, sorry, going for the Phoenixes even. Barely doesn't get the Tempest. Gets one of those Phoenixes towards the end. The army does rotate around. We force a cancel here on the 4th. Oh, a big EMP on the Phoenixes, and it looks like the Phoenix count is being reset completely. A big loss. We're going for a Doom Drop. At the same time, we bypass the army. Doom Drop into the main base. We're camping the production. Cannon's going to be going down. Yeah, the Vikings are going ham. Not a Fantail. You can see the Vikings, they've reset the Tempest and the Colossus count towards the left. And here in the main base, everything is on fire. GG gets called, and Spirit will take game number 1. GG. Again, just a solid start there from Spirit. Was just a solid start from him. And with that, he does take a lead in the series. As a reminder, when it came to the early game, that's what it came down to. If you remember, Skillous, he lost 20 probes. 20 probes in the early game to the first push. The first push didn't just kill 20 workers, it was also able to catch Phoenixes, able to mow through a good chunk of the ground army as well. That first push from Spirit basically secured him the game. It's so difficult to recover from that. We saw that Skillous almost did. I mean, he was working on cutting corners, going pure Skytoss Colossus, but as you saw there, it is a very, very fragile composition, especially when your opponent is that far ahead. And we saw that Spirit, again, just cool, calm, and collected play there, just getting into his third, getting into his fourth, maxing out with his Bio Viking, with his Ghost, with his EMPs, and his Spirit, he just had his way with that Skytoss, or with Skillous' main army. GG. GG, well played. Spirit does take game number 1. Skillous, can we bounce back in game number 2? Let's go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we do have Skillous for Team Liquid. Bottom left, sorry. And in the top right, we have his opponent, we have Spirit for Na'Vi. Let us go. And hopefully we can bounce back here. I mean, I'm sure we can. I don't think game 1 was really too indicative of the skill here of Skillous. Again, game 1 was just a really rough start. It was just a rough start, losing too much too early on, and it was just too much to recover from. You know, there's only so much you can do in that position, you know, given Hero, Classic, Max Packs, any other Protoss player in that position, and we would have seen a similar result there, where it's just so difficult to bounce back from that. But we'll see. We'll see how things do change here in game number 2. We'll see how we do adapt over time and what we bring to the table in this second game. So far, eBay block coming in from Spirit. It is spotted well ahead of time. We have plenty of boys to be pulled here, 5 probes in total, and we should force a cancel. We should force a cancel on the eBay. It won't really delay for too long here, and we should be able to expand where we would like to. Let's get a little bit more progression on that eBay, and up! There it is, we do force a cancel. As we did mention, the goal, the purpose here is that if Skillous didn't scout, then we force the unnatural natural. Then we force a massive delay in the expansion. But because Skillous was able to get eyes on it really soon, he's able to cancel it, deal with it, and expand freely. Now, I would still give the edge to Spirits. Like, that eBay block did force a lot of lost mining time. And because we cancel the eBay, it's not really a big investment for the Terran player either. So, very nice start here by Spirit. Behind this, he's going for a Rax expand into his factory. So once again, an economic opener by Spirit. Is going to be that economic opener. Behind this, we do have our just CC on the way, factory just now starting up as well, and we have yet to determine our tech of choice, whether it's a Stargate or a Twilight Council. Personally, as we saw in that last game, Stargate openers can leave you quite vulnerable, and it's going to be a Stargate once again. If Spirit realizes what's going on, just like the last game, he can go into earlier Cyclones and apply a lot of pressure early on as well. I was going to say that Twilight Council, Blink Stalker based openers are very safe. They're very safe to open up. You can be aggressive, you can be assertive, you can contain your opponent and expand from there. You could argue that it doesn't scale as amazingly, or it isn't as greedy as you otherwise could be. You don't cut as many corners as you can with a Stargate opener, which is why it's appealing, just because of how efficient it is and you can get into fast Colossus production. But as we saw, it's a little bit risky at times as well. As for now, Spirit just dancing with these adepts. With said Marines. I believe Spirit skipped his Reaper, so he has very limited scouting information. Doesn't really know what's going on. He has not seen the main base. Marines are going to be walling across the map. Thankfully, we have a safety shield battery back at home for Skillous, so he should be able to prepare in time. here we go. We're going to be just dancing on forward here with the Hellion Marine. Again, thankfully the shield battery has completed, so we're perfectly safe and sound. Going to be forcing Spirit back. Oh, behind this, rushing to a very fast armory. Okay, I was not expecting that. Spirit. Oh, Hellion does get caught. But yeah, that's a very fast armory. Now, thankfully, there is a robo. You can see in the production tab, there is a robotics facility on the way, which means we do have access to detection. It means that a mine drop isn't going to end the game, but it could. Here comes a mine drop. We have 4 Widow Mines here in that medevac. Very risky considering that there are Phoenixes out on the map, but we know where they are. We did see the Phoenixes move towards the top left, at least Spirit did, so he knows that he's safe to zoom in towards the bottom right, towards that natural base. Does go for the boost, and he will get in just in time, but there are some Phoenixes to lift up. And how many of these can we lift? First Widow Mine is going to be lifted, the second Widow Mine is as well. But we have 2 more in the main. And the shot is going to be going off. Up! Up! The retargeting! Ah! Shot goes off. We get 1 probe only. Nice cleanup here. Good reactions out of Skills. He does shut it all down. And the mine drop doesn't do much. Let's go. Skills with a much cleaner start so far in this game compared to game 1. Spirit continuing drop play because of course he is. God damn it. So he made another 4 Widow Mines and he's going for a Cyclone or Cyclone production behind this as reactor Cyclones are on the way. Again, as we can see, I believe we're only making a handful of Cyclones just to help with map control and just to make sure that the Phoenixes don't get out of hand. Colossus production well underway as the bay is already done. Ooh, Spirit does set up a bit of a trap there. That's a lot of Widow Mines. It's a lot of Widow Mine shots waiting to go off. Observer does confirm the reactor on the factory, does confirm the Cyclone production. So we are aware that there's no tanks, that there's no additional Widow Mines, so we can make the guess. We can assume. Behind this, Skills getting his 3rd base up and running. Colossi well underway, and we have more of a back and forth. This time we do have a much more competitive game too between these 2 players. No clear advantage yet. So looking at the units as well, I mean, Skillis, he's up a base, he's up 10 workers, but he should be, as a Protoss player in this matchup, should be up a base and up in those workers. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on his Spirit, I'm waiting for that 3rd CC to be thrown down, which I believe is already in the main. I believe we're just getting ready here to attempt to land it on location. Army going to be moving out. Scan does end up shutting down that Observer. Keen eyes there to Spirit. Very well done. And there it is. Okay, CC's now on the way. Sorry, I thought it was already done. It's just now starting up for Spirit. And the move out hasn't spotted. We do spot the move out. Mine drop going into the main base is spotted by the pylon. And Skills, does he respond? Does he react? Phoenixes are on the way. And they get here just in time. The Widow Mines are going to be dropping though. We lift up 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh! The panic lifts out of Skills, even lifted some of his own probes again, just to be sure. At the same time, we dive on top of the main army. Shield battery goes down. No overcharge. Ooh, late reaction here by Skills. Overcharge is going to be denied. Mine shots going off, and this 3rd base is being broken. We get into the middle line. 5 probes go down. We should be able to barely clean this up, but that Colossus is getting low. The Colossus. No, it does go down, and oh, that's an expensive loss here for Skillis, bleeding out 7 probes to Colossi. Mine shot not quite going off. Ooh, where's the anti-air? Where is the anti-air? Medevacs are going down. These are some expensive losses for Spirit. Bleeding out both of his medevacs, losing a Marauder. Very nicely done here by Skillis. And from here, the armies, they bounce off each other. They do bounce off. Skillis still barely maintains that worker lead. As a reminder, Spirit, he's about to be taking his 3rd base on location, as it's going to be floating over from the main. As Spirit is getting ready for his 3rd, Skillis is taking his 4th. And we are working towards the mid game, towards that next step. We have Archon and Storm, the capacity for Archon and Storm on the way here for Skillis. Meanwhile, we do have the Ghost Academy, and EMP is going to be available for Spirit. So we're going to start to incorporate a couple of spellcasters. We are getting there. Are on the way. Till then, Zelt's going to be forced back as the run by was attempted. As the game is going to be settling down for a moment, we're just rebuilding all those Colossi that we lost earlier. We're getting into Ghost production as well. Things are still pretty neck and neck. They're still pretty neck and neck between our two players as we're just settling into our 3 and 4 base setup. Just calming things down. And again, Skill is showing us that he can hold his own against Spirit if he isn't just like, immediately behind in the early game. With a much more solid early game and early to mid game, we just are able to thrive so much more. This time, no Skytoss transition. We're working towards +2 and a gateway explosion. So if we're going for a ground-heavy style here from the side of Skillus, at least for now. Charge those Colossi. We have the Temple Archives, but as we can see, no Storm, just Archons. Zelrunbai gonna delay the 4th base. It's gonna be delayed. As the army is now being active. Okay, we do have a Zealot Rumba here on the right-hand side. Main army is going to be clashing towards the center. Skillus has to back off, and Spirit is going for the 4th, by the way. Sorry, he's going for the 5th. He's threading the 5th base. Skillus, he does rotate over in time. Does get on top of the ramp. Going to be able to force back the army. Ooh, we do take a mind shot to the face, though. Nice EMP on the Archons as well. Oh, and Skillus, his army is a little bit disjointed. You can see the Colossi and the Phoenix is lagging behind. Good kiting so far out of Spirit. But we do catch up. We shut down one of those ghosts. And there are barely any medevacs. The rest of them, they're coming over. And it looks like Skillus, he's able to reinforce. He's within range. He's denying the 4th base. Trying to at least. Yeah, decent force fields as well. The Bio army just struggles to engage. Big EMP here on the Phoenixes. Spirit kiting his heart out, and it looks like he can maybe deal with all these cells, but there are still 3 Colossi. There's still so many. Marauders, they just cannot engage. GG gets caught. It looks like Skillus, he barely does break Spirit. And we have a tied up series. 1-1. GG. Let's go. GG, here we go. Again, Skillus with a much cleaner early game this time. Able to get into his 3-way setup, able to survive the initial push of Spirit, and able to snowball out of control. We had Spirit having some really good engagements and some really nice army control, that is true, but he unfortunately wasn't able to engage with the army until it was already in his face at his front door, denying that 3rd, forcing a fight. And basically Spirit, he had to commit there, because if he didn't, then he loses his 4th base, and then Skillus gains access to the natural. He would have kept going, would have kept pushing. GG. GG, well played. On top of that, it isn't just that Skillus didn't take damage, so he's ahead. It's that he didn't take damage, and also that Spirit committed quite a lot to his mine drops. Remember, he went for a very fast armory into a quadruple mine drop, and he did that twice. He lost 2 medevacs and 8 widow mines, and what did he really get done? He got like 2 probes. Like, it was barely anything, and again, that just wasn't worth it there for Spirit. Meanwhile, in the top left-hand corner, we do have Skillus for Team Liquid. And in the bottom right, we have Spirit for Na'Vi. Let's go. As we're getting into Game 3. But again, like, the committed mine drops just weren't really worth it for Spirit, unfortunately. He tried to create an opening for himself to break the 3rd, if you remember, at the same time as that 2nd mine drop, and he wasn't able to break that either. He did kill some Colossi, which was good, don't get me wrong, but needed more than that. And with that, we're now getting into Game 3. We're into a tied-up series. As a reminder, this is still a best of 5. Best of 5, not a best of 3, so plenty more games ahead of us. We still have a series ahead. Here we go. And so now we do have our probes scouting towards the edges of the map here, or towards the center, just making sure that there is no proxy. Quick scout before moving out across the map. Likewise, Spirit chilling back at home. It looks like Spirit is going for a Rax expand. there is no second gas geyser, so no fast factory. This time, likewise, there's no eBay block out of Spirit either. No eBay block. So pretty standard game so far to Spirit, which makes sense. We're loading into Side Delta. For those that are curious, Side Delta does have a ramp. Leading into the natural, so it's so much more defendable than other maps would be. It is very defendable. And with that, we do have more economic builds. Speaking of, there it is, CC on the high ground, so a bit of a safer approach out of Spirit. He doesn't want to be forced to cancel his base. Just a safer location. Does mean it's a little bit inefficient, but safer nonetheless. So we are settling in. From here, we're going to be calming things down. We have our tech of choice for the first time. Oh my god, okay. Skillus, calm down. For the first time in this series, that is not a Stargate, that is going to be a Twilight Council opener. Suddenly we gain access to Blink, and I do appreciate that Skillus is now varying things up, and he's going to be forcing Spirit, not so much on the back foot, but forcing just some more attention out of him. Like, hey, you need to pay attention to this. You need to realize what my tech, what my opener is. Otherwise, I could catch you off guard, and I could punish you. So it is going to be Blink. There is a second gateway on the way. We're waiting for a third, potentially even a fourth gateway out of Skillus. For now, just 2-gate Blink. And Spirit is getting to his 1-1-1. There it is. Blink is on the way, as we did mention. Natural base is being taken as we speak. Is being taken here. Adept is going to attempt to shade into the main. Doesn't quite commit, though, as the wall is up. Behind this, okay, so it was a 1-1-1, and we see what it was for. We see an add-on swap here, and we have a tech lab on that starport. Banshees and Cloak on the way here for Spirit. Bold move. This is not often seen in this matchup, but it can be very effective if it goes by unscouted. If there's no detection, if there's not enough anti-air, then those Banshees, they can wreak havoc and they can just go to town in a mineral line. Meanwhile, we just avoid the army. The wall has been thrown. Oh no! The wall's on the wall. Reaper does slip in, but the Hellions don't. Oh my god, I guess it was only enough for the Reaper. Yeah, the Hellions, they're not able to gain access. They will be shut down. You can even see Spirit just checking, confirming, like, hold up, I can't squeeze through. He cannot. He cannot. Ooh. As once again tries to force his way in, the Reaper Hellion is completely shut down. Now, what is scary is that ideally we're meant to use them in unison. What I mean by that is that ideally you have the Hellion Reaper distracting the Stalkers on one side, and then bam, your Banshee goes in from the other side and heads for a mineral line and gets damage done. Now there's no multi-prong harassment. Now there's nothing to try to distract and keep the attention of Skillus away. So this Banshee, I'm not convinced it's going to get a lot done, but we'll see. We'll see. You know, the Banshee making its way into the main has potential always, but not as much as the otherwise once did. Yeah, we have detection in position. We blink on forward and we shut the Banshee down. We get one probe kill. That's not worth it. That's not worth it for Spirit whatsoever. He threw away his Hellions, he threw away his Reaper, and he threw away his Banshees as well. And now Skillus has so much control. He's containing his opponent. He's taking his third base on location. He is free to do whatever he wants, and Spirit is stuck at home. He's just perpetual, just going to be stuck at home for the near future at least. Building up his tanks, working towards +1, stim, combat shields. Regardless, though, he's stuck at home, and Skillus, he can just freely work on upgrades, work on tech, work on expansions. There it is. Forge and a base on the way for Colossus production for +1. Charge just now started up. And Spirit, he is being active with one more Banshee. He did make two Banshees with Cloak. So he can maybe redeem himself with this Banshee. It has potential to get a couple of probe kills. We'll see if we can get it done. Skillus is moving out. Is moving out without Observer. He does confirm everything. He does confirm the 3-1-1 setup, which is a standard 2-base setup here from Spirit. There's nothing that really screams all in from the side of Spirit yet. He could decide to pull the boys, or we should soon be seeing a third CC as we move out. Speaking of, there it is. on the production tab, third CC is on the way for Spirit. So again, not an all-in. He's going to try to macro out of this. But it's going to be an uphill battle for Spirit. It is going to be uphill. As he's moving on towards the low ground, slowly leapfrogging forward. Does slowly leapfrog forward here. As the Banshee is going to be cornered in between the bases, no damage is dealt, but thankfully, at least the Banshee is keeping the army busy. As we can see here, we have a tri-pronged attack. We have the Banshee in between the natural and the third, we have a drop head towards the main, and we have the main army head towards the third base as well. So 3 different prongs. Can Skillus keep up? That double drop is on the way. Tanks are sieging. And the Observer does barely spot the drop. Do we have a warp in? Do we have a warp in? The answer is no, we have to recall instead. Colossus is recalled. The third base is left a little bit more exposed. Widow Mines are set up. Well, they will be cleaned up though. Good force fields here out of Skillus. Buying time. Buying time for his Colossi to rotate over. Of course, he has to keep some units to defend. But he's got 1 Colossus for each base. Or for his main and for his third. And Skillus does hold. Now, as he's holding on, we can see the Spirit is taking advantage of that. He's expanding. You know, as he's contained his opponent, he's taking his own third. Ghost Academy is on the way. Spirit is still in this. And after shutting down some of these pylons, we could even try to pull Skillus apart. We could. Now, the drops are called out. 1 Marauder survives, but 1 Marauder can't really threaten too much, so Skillus, he's safe here in his main. Consolidating his army. Meanwhile, Spirit building up his Viking count, Widow Mines, Bio, Ghosts, all on 3 bases. He's working on it, but again, the supplies are still pretty neck and neck, which is always a good thing here for the Protoss. Is a good thing. Meanwhile, as Skillus is distracted, here comes a Mind Drop. Up! Does reaction time. Does pull away. Mind Shot's going to be going off. Again, we minimize our losses. Armory still isn't done. We blink on forward, but it looks like the medevac will survive. Does manage to get away. Likewise, Spirit moving out with his main army. Looking to hit that 4th. It's just all about whether or not Skillus can keep up. If he does slip up 1 too many times, then that could be it. Could be all she wrote. Yeah, we dive on top of the 4th base. We do focus it down. We're going to be able to hold on, though. Mind Shots go up. And we do force a cancel. A little bit premature of a cancel, I feel, as the army was being forced back. So Skillus being very careful there with his 4th. Meanwhile, the drop, it does slip into the main base. Not really getting too much damage done, but denying the 4th, that's good enough. As Spirit, he's actually ahead in the 4th base. It's on the way. It's almost done. Oh. That economic lead that Skillus has had is no longer there. Things are getting concerning here. We dive in forward. We try to chase down some of these Marauders. We do try to chase them down. Get a handful of them. No Disruptors, by the way. No Storm. Just Colossi as the main damage dealers. Do have a minefield set up. You have to respect it. Big Colossus swipe's going to be going up. Ooh, and as the army's distracted, it looks like Skillus gets into the natural. Yeah, big warp in the Zealots in that natural base. Oh, sorry, big drop of Zealots and a warp into the main. Viking is going to shut that down, but the warp in will finish. It will not be denied. And Skillus, he's barely breaking through. Yeah, there's just not enough here to break these tanks. The Bio's going down, the Marauders as well. And Spirit, he's being pulled apart. The Zealot warping into the main base is getting far too much done. Looks like the Colossi are going to be shut down. But the Zealots, what about the Zealots in the main? They can't be the production. 24 SCVs. Oh my god. 24 workers, and again, we're picking up Marines, Marauders. A Ghost if at all possible. And Spirit is falling further and further behind in the economy. He does have a 4th base that he can land, true. But he is hurting. And Skillous, he wants to break Spirit here and now. Doesn't want to let him recover. I'm a little bit shocked that the tank survived. I'm a little bit shocked, a little bit surprised. The tanks did make it. Did make it in the end, and from that, Spirit can maybe recover, but here comes another warp in. More Colossi on the way. The double drop is stuck, trapped here in between the bases. Shout out to Skillets for keeping these Stalkers in position. Not letting them move. And from here, you can see that Spirit, he's just rebuilding the army he lost. Oh, takes down a full medevac, takes down both. Both medevacs go down for 1 Stalker, maybe 2. Oh, and for 2 Stalkers. Good trade for Skillous. Moves out with his main army. Spirit trying to stabilize here back at home on 4 bases. Against Spirit, he just needs more time, but Skillous, he's snowballing out of control here in the supply. He's up 40 supply at this point. Does come across the 4th base. The planetary is still not quite done. We could go for it, but we do pull back for a moment. Zelrame coming in. Spirit once again distracted. And we get Zealous from one end. Zealous in the natural and in the 3rd base. Gonna get 8 SCVs. And Skill's gonna just calm down. Doesn't want to break through, doesn't want to force the issue. It looks like he wants to wait until he's maxed out. I mean, +3 is on the horizon, the upgrades are on the way. DTs, another Colossi. Yeah, we're knocking down these rocks, and Skills, he is about to max. Meanwhile, Spirits, even if we have like the most perfect EMPs, I'm not seeing good enough SimCity. I'm not seeing the good enough SimCity here. There's no tank line, no Widow Mines either. Nice EMPs here on the Stalkers at least. Oh, but you can see that we don't care about the EMPs. There is a tank behind this. Good concave out of Spirit though. Very nice concave. And Skills is going to rotate around, trying to avoid it. Trying to avoid that tank. Am I going to be shut down? EMP on the Colossi. Zealous heads straight for the natural. They try to. Waiting for more reinforcements. Ooh, as we cast some Archons, these are expensive losses, by the way. We got 1. Barely saved the other 2. He moves there out of Skillous. Spirit fighting back quite hard. And hey, Spirit, he's rebuilt his SCVs. Like, his economy is still looking good. Spirit, he's holding. He is holding on. Really good concave, really good EMPs. Disruptors are going to be scary to deal with, but not impossible. And there's no Skytoss yet. I would still give Skills the edge, but Spirit, he's in there. He's holding his own. Rotating around. Another Robo's on the way for Skillous. I believe that's the 3rd Robo. Yeah, 3rd Robo on the way. Zealot drop is coming back in. We do have some reinforcements though. We do have a couple of Marines. But there's no bunker. Go for another big warp in, go for the EP. Can we deny the warp in? Ooh, we cannot. The Zealots, they do warp in. They're diving on top of those ghosts, forcing a big reaction here out of Spirit. Oh, getting another ghost and another. What's that? 4 ghosts? Oof. Expensive losses there for Zealots of all things. We managed to get a good chunk of ghosts. Skillous doesn't keep pushing though. I am concerned that, again, he's giving his opponent a little bit too much time when it comes to pushing towards the 3rd base, but there are tanks in position. So not feeling too confident. Yeah, with that, we do see Skills just rotating around. Has been spotted. Has been spotted by Spirit. Denies the 5th, as that is the main base floated over. A fight could still go either way. A lot of this is going to hinge on those disruptors. Like, if they connect, Skills wins. If they don't, then Spirit can, or he does have a chance to take a fight. Well, as we do pull back, Disruptor does get caught out. 2 Novas get baited as well. We have 2 Novas left. Not the best start for Skillus. 2 Novas remaining. We're down to 1. But the cooldown is about to reset. That last Nova zones away the army, gets a Marauder. You can see Skillus is trying to keep the attention here in the center, going for another Prism drop. I mean, this Zealot Harass has been doing really well. Has been training so well here against Spirit so far. But maybe it's gone far enough, as the drop is going to be denied. The 5th base is getting up and running. That's a big win for Spirit. And now he's maxed. Spirit, he's maxed out. This Fleet Beacon transition from Skillus is late. We could have done this sooner. We could have done this much sooner here if we wanted to go for a longer game, but clearly Skillus thought he could end it. Clearly he could not. So now we have a delayed tech switch into Sky Toss. 2 Stargates, Fleet Beacon, +1 air attack on the way. 2nd Cybercore for double upgrades for said Sky Toss. It's gonna need more time. 8 Disruptors. And Skillus, he is pushing towards that 5th base. He's threatening a stim. Threatening a dive. Prism does slip into the main again. We don't have any supply. We don't have any free supply. We warp in 1 DT. We have to bleed out a couple of units here for another big warp in. That could have been huge. And Prism goes down. Again, your macro is too good, Skillus. No free supply to warp in. Smurge. As Spirit now on 5 bases. Oh, this space though looking a little bit exposed. We're gonna get the Sensor Tower. Never goes off. Gets 2 Marauders. Good damage dealt here by Skillus. DTs, they come in, they catch the army. Oof. Who catches who though? That was a nice sneak up by the DTs, but yeah, you can see how fragile they are, especially when there's detection. They get shut down. Meanwhile, going for the dive. Nice EMP. Novas go off. Good connections here out of Skillus, and we have more Novas available. Oh my god, he throws all of them out. A little bit too premature there, throwing away every single Nova. But regardless, it looks like Skillus, he still has enough anyway to break through. I think he lost 3 Disruptors in that fight. He still has 5 left. Still has those 5 Disruptors left here, zoning away the army. Going for the 4th base. Now he goes up. Ooh, gets 2 ghosts. Big pick off there by Skillus. More Purification Nova is going to be going off as well. They connect with the tanks. Yeah, tanks going to be going down. It looks like the writing is on the wall. There just is not enough here from the Terran, and GG gets called. Skillus takes a 2-1 lead in the upper bracket finals. Oh my god, is Skillus going to go all the way? Is he going to go the distance here? As 1 more game is all he needs to take this series. Meanwhile, Spirit has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. Again, in this tournament, in this qualifier, Skillus, he took down Showtime, he took down Raynor, and now he's on the brink of taking down Spirit as well. Skillus looking better than he has in a very long time, I'll be honest here. Looking very solid, very well practiced. And at least in these qualifiers, in this event, he has been, I mean, taking down some heavy favorites, to be honest. Some heavy favorites. And we'll see if he can keep on going here. Again, some of the pressure is off of Skillus because he's already qualified for the main event. He is already invited and he's claimed his plane ticket to the offline finals. But who will join him? And will he get that #1 seed? Oh boy. Here we go. Game number 4 going to be on Oceanborn. Okay, a bit of a smaller map here compared to Side Delta. We can have quite a bit of aggression on this map, but here we go in the top left-hand corner. We have Skillus for Team Liquid. One game away. Meanwhile, in the bottom right-hand corner, he has to win this game to force the ace match. It is Spirit for Na'Vi. Here we go. But again, I do appreciate that Skillus did decide to mix it up a little bit. Did decide to mix it up and go for something like a Twilight Council opener into Blink. It's a very different playstyle, very different setup here. And the question becomes, what do you do here in Game 4? How do we spice it up even further? What do you have for us? As we're still just waiting for our tech of choice. Cybercore is done, Gateway's finishing up, Herb Scout is coming in. Going to be confirming that Spirit is not going for any cheese. Meanwhile, we can see that this is a Rax Expand economic opener out of Spirit. He's not going for a faster factory. He's not going for any kind of weird one base all in. Should be expanding behind this. As you can see, Skills being as annoying as possible, they're delaying the expansion for as long as he can. Does get in, does create an annoyance as he is forced out. But as we did mention, it was an economic opener here out of Spirit. Getting into his CC, a little bit delayed. Cybercore is done, and we're just waiting for our tech of choice here from Skillus. On a map as small as Oceanborn, I would like a Twilight Council. I would like to see Blink on the way. I do think that we have seen Spirit punish Stargate openers already in this series, and it may be best to avoid that and avoid giving Spirit the chance to punish you, but we'll see. We'll see what Skills is thinking of. As there we go, the probe moves out. We have our tech, and it is going to be... Ooh, that was not on... I did not think that was on the table, by the way, but apparently it was. That is a Robo opener out of Skillus. Okay. Something unique, something yet seen in this series. A Robo opener usually leads into Fast Colossus. This is a good way to shut down heavy bio play. If Spirit had gone Rax Expand into a 3 Rax, then Skills would shut it down. He would completely shut it down. As we can see, it was a Rax Expand into a factory, followed by another Rax. Interesting. I'm curious how this dynamic plays out. So, Spirit, he may go all in. What I'm referring to is that Spirit has delayed his starport. It looks like he's going to go for a 3rd Rax before starport. So, essentially what I'm getting at is that Spirit is going for... There it is. There's a 3rd Rax, by the way, now starting up. Very delayed starport, very delayed medevacs. It means that we're sacrificing drop play. We're sacrificing an earlier medevac timing to build up a death bull of an army. To build up a lot of Marines, a lot of Cyclones, a lot of Marauders. And then we either pull the boys or we hit a later timing, but a stronger timing with our eventual medevac production. That's why I said that this could be an all-in, because there are players that just pull the boys with this when they hit with Stim. As I say that, Stim is on the way, and we're getting into early tank production. Okay, so again, Spirit, he's building up quite an army here, and it has to be respected. Meanwhile, we can see the Skills. He's going Robo into a Twilight Council that should be for Charge or Blink. Meanwhile, with the faster Robo, we should be going for a faster Bay. We have not gone for the Bay yet, which is a bit concerning. We haven't gone for any safety immortals either. Here we go, Job making its way towards that main base. It looks like with that Robo opener, with that Robo of choice, we've just gone for a very fast Prism. It's something we don't see too often, to be honest. We don't see this too often. We dive into the main base, we focus on one of the Cyclones. Uh-oh, we're not ready. Spirit, he's not ready, not yet. He's still building up. We lose the Cyclone. Marines are here. Stim is not done, by the way. The tank is looking exposed, and we are losing quite a lot. Marines are falling. SCVs as well. Skillus is forced out, but this was a good drop. He got a full scout of the main base. He saw how late the starport was. He caught a Cyclone, 5 SCVs, a couple of Marines. And from here, Skillus, he's not done. He can still pick off a couple of extra units. There we go. He's going for the mineral line. Tank is sieged. Yeah, the tank is sieged. A volley goes off. Oof. Stalker is taking a lot of hits, and we do get one more Marine. But again, not much else. So Skills is going to be retreating. Meanwhile, Stim is done. Combat Shields is now on the way. Now, after the damage that was just dealt, do we have it in us here to pull the boys, to go all in? With Combat Shields starting, I don't think so. I think we're just working on the next step. Reaper is caught. Combat Shields on the way. Tanks are amassing. Medevacs have finally arrived, and now we can push. Now we can commit. And Spirit, he is moving out through the center, headed towards the third base here of Skills. Skills, are we ready for this, by the way? Shield battery still not done. It's finishing up in a couple of seconds. No overcharge. Stim has completed. We have the one tank behind this. So far, good engage out of Skills, slowing it down. Does slow it down in Spirit. He just backs off. He backs up completely. He gets punished for it, by the way. 3 Marines go down. Oof. A brutal loss there by Spirit. Behind this, we have Charge on the way. Gateways. We're not going for a Colossus heavy composition. We're skipping it entirely, going for Gateways. Or Mass Gateway. Blinkstalker Zealot. A very interesting style here out of Skills, considering that this is all based off of a Robo Opener, which is traditionally not how things go. So very exciting. And Dark Shrine's on the way as well, just to keep Spirit on his toes, to harass, to go for some drop play. And Spirit has yet to start up a third. Yeah, we just pull the boys. It has to be an all-in. This does make sense. I mentioned before that the build of Spirit can lead into pulling the boys and going for an all-in anyway. But it does feel like this is a reaction. This is a reaction to the game state right now. I don't think this was the initial plan, but it was always on the table. It was always an option available here, and we do confirm. It's all or nothing. Either Spirit ends the game and takes down his opponents, or he ends the game trying. The boys are here. Tanks are sieging up. That's 3 tanks, by the way. Yeah, overcharge is popped. The boys have fallen. That's still a good chunk of Marines, though. They're stimming on forward. They're trying to dive on top of the Immortal. The Immortal, it stands strong a little bit longer, tanking a lot of shots. But it looks like there might be a little bit too much bio. Yeah, the Marines and Marauders, they stim on forward. 22 SCVs have gone down. Skillis, I feel like he should have pulled the boys. He should have pulled his own workers there just to survive, just keep going. Just have a better engagement, I should say. As he barely doesn't have enough. We have someone else coming in. Skillis, can he hold? Gets on top of the tanks, gets one of them, gets the other. 2 tanks go down. We have more Zealots as well. We have an Immortal coming in to reinforce, and Skillis, he holds. And he did not even lose a worker. I was saying that he could have pulled the boys there, and I stand by that, but clearly he didn't have to. Clearly he barely does get away with it. Yeah, Zealots, they dive in once again. The 1 DT swiping away, going for the tank. He's going for the tank. Do we have a scan? Oh, we do not. No scan. We force the on siege. There we go. Scan is forced there on that 1 Dark Templar. And we don't have any energy. We don't have any energy. We're going for more DTs. And Skillis, he's on a timer right now. And it's not going to work out. The Invisible Man, the Dark Templar, they're just too good. They're getting so much value here already. Marines are going down. We come in from behind. We dive on top of the tank. And we do focus it down. And Spirit, that's all he had left. He's down to a handful of Marines and a handful of Marauders. He's stutter stepping his heart out. His medevacs are out of energy. They can barely support themselves. And GG gets called. Skillis, he takes the series 3-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. Papi. Oh my god. Very well done. Very nicely played here again. Skillis, he took down Showtime, Spirit, and Raynor so far in this tournament. Some of the best of each race here in the European region. Skillis, he's poised to come out in first place, and he'll be waiting in the grand finals of the European and Americas region. Meanwhile, Spirit gets knocked down to the lower bracket. He's not out of the tournament, but he's down to the lower bracket, and he's going to be facing off against the winner of our next series, Showtime and Raynor, coming up next. Here we go again. Raynor and Showtime, this is a qualifying match. The loser is eliminated. The winner qualifies for the main event. Showtime and Raynor, they're so close, and they're deserving to be a part of the main event, but there's only enough room And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that lovely break. Now getting into game number 1. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the German Protoss player, Showtime, for BIG. And in the top right, we have the Italian Zerg player, Rainer, for Basilisk. And if you are in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets so you can get your gamba going here and decide for yourselves who you believe is going to take the series. Will it go the way of the Zerg or the way of the Protoss? Predictions open. Best of luck. I see the chat. Only my off race, Zerg. Oh, Esta Eba. Shaking my head. Ah, God. Yeah, welcome, Protoss enjoyers, by the way. Welcome all the Protoss enjoyers that have joined us from Eba's channel. But yeah, we are here with some high-quality ZVP action already, and I don't know who to favor, to be honest. I think on paper I would favor Rainer slightly here, but Showtime is still a beast in his own right. He's still a very competitive player. He is one of the best Protoss in the world, and I'm hoping for a back and forth. I'm hoping for an ace match as well. As a reminder, it's a best of 5. Best of 5, not a best of 3. Plenty of games are ahead of us, and for the time being, it's going to be a hatch gas pool, standard open out of Rainer. Hatch gas pool, no 15-15. As a result, he was forced to take the unnatural natural, forced to expand at the third base location instead. Meanwhile, Showtime opening up with a gate expand into Cybercore. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't casted Showtime too much recently. I do know that at least in months past, he would have a very distinct style of PvZ where he'd be pretty tech heavy, pretty passive, pretty defensive, just tech heavy and defensive, and building up towards a death ball of an army on a 4-base setup, working towards a 5th. Just a very tech-heavy defensive style overall. We have seen Showtime show glimpses of aggression in the past, and he's willing to open up aggressively and sprinkle it in mid-series, so he has that flexibility available to him. But I'm sure these two players are very familiar with each other, and I'm sure there's a bit of metagaming going on between Showtime and Rainer. So I'm ready for it. I am here for it. Link speed is on the way, as we have not avoided it. Meanwhile, we do have Rainer pulling out of gas as soon as he gets link speed, so he's not going for a fast lair, he's not going for a Bailey Nest, he's not going for a fast Roach War, and just really standard play so far out of Rainer. Meanwhile, we have our tech of choice from Showtime. It is going to be a Stargate opener. Now with that Stargate, of course, it should be oracles into a third base, into a forced Twilight Council. Again, I don't really expect Showtime to deviate too much, especially in game 1. If we were casting another player, I would say, oh, you know, we could open up Phoenix, or we could even open up Void Ray, but it just doesn't really feel like Showtime is that kind of player. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on him. As Adept, oh, is going to get caught out, actually. Very good positioning by Rainer. Shuts down the first Adept. Only one Adept left. Suddenly, that third base from Showtime is looking much more vulnerable here, as Showtime has to be very careful with his movement. Doesn't want to throw this Adept away. He's going for the mineral line once again, but he is going to be zoned away. Yeah, Rainer is keeping up. Adept is forced to shade away. Forced to shade the hell out of there. Behind this, it is going to be a second Oracle in the way. I mean, again, triple Oracle openers is what we expect out of Showtime. And getting into his Oracles, working towards his third base. Now, again, because Showtime lost his first Adept, that means that this can happen. That means that we can bully the second Adept and we can focus it down. Oh, that's another kill. And because both Adepts have fallen, the third base of Showtime, this base is so vulnerable. As we can see here, there's nothing to defend. The probe is going to get shut down. You can see the dominoes start to fall one after the other. If you make a small mistake early on, like losing your first Adept, like suddenly everything just starts crumbling around you, and this is a big delay in the third. It's a pretty big delay. Now Showtime gets it up. Lings, they get on top of it. They're looking to force a cancel. They should not be able to, and they will finally be forced back. Now again, this isn't like game-ending damage by any means, but these are slight advantages that Rainer's been getting over time. Just forcing additional weapons of Adepts, delaying the third base, keeping the Oracles pinned at home as well. They couldn't move out because of these Lings, because of the dead Adepts, and now we move out. Now we can finally be active, and Showtime can easily get damage done. Queens are rotating over, Spores are on the way. Showtime, can we bounce back? So far, 3 drone kills, not bad. We get 3 drones here in the main, and we do get the hell out of there. Only taking a bit of hull damage. Meanwhile, we have Adepts threatening a shade towards the left-hand side. Twilight Council's on the way. Where's the Forge, by the way? Now, something that I should emphasize is because the Forge is delayed, I would usually say, well, this is going to be really aggressive, but I remember distinctly that Showtime... Actually, never mind. I was going to say that Showtime has a build where he delays his forge. That is not true. I was thinking of Hearthstone. Hearthstone has a build where he delays his forge. This, though, with 3 more gates on the way, this could be more committed from Showtime. Yep, there it is, Glaves. It is more committed. 4 gates on the way alongside the 2 that we already have. So 6 gate Glaive Adepts here by Showtime. Something very out of left field, very unorthodox, but I love it. I love it here. It's a good way to really shake things up in game number 1. Not going for your standard Blink Stalker follow-up, which means Reynard hasn't scouted. He has not scouted, and he's droning right now. He's droning up happily, working on his lair, working on his Evo chamber, taking his gases. Reynard doesn't have much of a ground army to deal with this. Specifically, we need Roaches or Banelings. With only Pure Lane Queen, I mean, Showtime can pop off. And there we go. Showtime is shaking the gases. Did confirm no tech at the natural. We can see Reynard is going Ling Hydra. Oh my god. Okay, it is going to be a Hydra Den here out of Reynard. So this is, I feel like, ideal for Showtime. He's building up his adept count. There are no Roaches to defend, or Banelings either. Now, this doesn't mean that this is going to end the game, but there's potential. There's potential for this to just snowball out of control, to wreak havoc, to get so much damage done, and now we're moving out. And can Raider pull off a defense? As the Adepts, they're moving out across the map. They do come into the shade. They're trying to get on top of these queens. Lings are amassing, by the way. That's a lot of Lings on the way. If we can get a good surround. Evo chambers are being thrown down as we make our way towards that 3rd. That's a kill on the Evo chamber, and the drones, they're vulnerable. Yeah, drones are going down. You can see so much damage being dealt already. That's 16 more Lings on the way. And this is good damage dealt by Showtime, but not game ending. Not yet. Not game ending damage yet as we commit to the shade. The Lings are going to surround. Decent surface area here on these Adepts. The Adepts are trading well for themselves. Oh my god, they mow through those Lings. Yeah, reinforcements have arrived, but it looks like the Adepts are being cleaned up. Only 3 of them make it out into the main, but we have 3 more at the 3rd. We're still continuing to deny mining time at that 3rd base. Can we get more drone kills? Oracles are sharking around. We get 1 more drone at the 3rd. And it looks like Reynard has defended. Again, this could have been so much worse. So a really nice surround out of Reynard with those Lings. Really good queen positioning. Adepts, they continue to shade across the map. They threaten that 3rd base once again. Late reaction out of Reynard. Do we commit? We do. We do commit to shade. Good target firing here out of Showtime. Does focus down as many drones as he can and gets up to 12 worker kills. Will be cleaned up. Now behind this, he's transitioning into a 2nd robo, into a bay, into blink, into +1, into 75 probes. Showtime isn't in the worst position. What I will say, though, is that his Stalkers, they're vanilla. No Blink. Oh, sorry, Blink just finished, but they don't have any upgrades. The quality of the army here by Showtime is worsened because of the big commitment into Glaive Adepts, right? Because he spent so much money on them, it does delay splash damage, Immortals, Colossi, Blink Stalkers, everything else has been delayed. And Reynard did take some damage, but not game-ending damage. So Reynard, he's still in this. He's still very much so in this. He has a comparable worker count to his opponent. He's even on bases, or I should say that Showtime's trying to get a 4th base, and Reynard gets away with Ling Hydra. Hydra Den has been done for quite some time. Upgrades are on the way, plus on range is done. It's building up towards Ling Hydra, and the scary thing about Ling Hydra, 1, it does well against Blink Stalkers, but 2, it does seamlessly transition into Lurker tech. And the Lunkers, Bobby, that's what you want against Ground Toss, if the game goes on long enough. So Reynard not in a bad position here. He is up in supply. Slightly, barely. Does get eyes on the 4th. Won't push in. Showtime has to be careful not to be dragged out of position. Does pull back. There we go. Infestation bits on the way. So Reynard, he recognizes that he most likely won't be able to break the 4th, especially with sentries and Colossi. Yeah, this 4th base, it's looking quite solid, to be honest. We should not be able to break through, but Reynard knows that. He's posturing and he's teching. The infestation bit means Hive Tech. Hive Tech, Lurker upgrades, Vipers more importantly. Vipers are going to be so ideal, so crucial here against heavy Colossus compositions. As Reynard is trying to pull apart his opponent. Applying a bit of pressure, gets a Stalker. Gets only 1 though. But what's important here is that Reynard did not bleed out any Hydras. He only bled out Lings. So acceptable losses here by Reynard as he's just building up. And we speak about that transition into Lurker Tech. There it is. Lurker Den is on the way. Hydras are. Some of them are getting shaved off. A second force is spotted by the Oracle. Showtime not going to chase on creep. He does pull back. But again, Hive Tech is on the way. Lurker Den is on the way. If Showtime was aware of the Lurker Tech, then we most likely, as the Bailey Rumbai gets in, we will most likely head towards Skytoss or Disruptors. And an Immortal Heavy composition. Like, Showtime, I'm not really liking his current army against a heavy lurker style. We do need to realize what's going on and we need to respect it. We need to transition. There it is. We have our tech of choice. It's going to be a Templar Archives here for Showtime. Interesting choice. Templar Archives does give us access to Storm, which is good against Ling Hydra. Not amazing against lurkers though. So it's okay. Not ideal, but it can work out wonders, especially if the lurker count is low. Bane's rolling in. Good force fields. Very nice force fields, actually. And Bane cannot engage. The problem is that we had to spend a lot of force fields here, and we don't have enough for a second wave. Ooh, we are vulnerable. Again, where the remaining force fields, Zealot on the right-hand side takes out a base. Base does fall. The one lurker does burrow. Bane's coming from behind. They go for the sentries. And big detonations. Sentries go down. One Colossus falls as well. And Showtime is bleeding out too much. Being forced further back. Did get the revelation on the lurker, and he will focus it down. No lurkers left for Raynor. Zealot run by head towards the 4th. Main army towards the 3rd. Again, very careful, delicate micro here to Showtime. He cannot afford to get surrounded. Not without sentries. There we go. Mass Archon on the way. No Storm, but just Archon. Behind this, you can see the lurker army though. The lurker count is slowly getting higher and higher. We're getting up to 3. They do barely just finish up. No Hive upgrades yet. We do have the Observer. Vipers are coming in for some yoinks. They come in. They get 1. They get 2. 2 Colossi go down. Big yoinks here from Raynor. Bane rolling on forward as well. Zelsa's trying to collapse on this army. Is it going to be enough? The Archons are putting in a lot of work. But they're so low. They're so battered. They're so bruised. The Archons are being forced back. Good target firing here out of Raynor. Gets 1 more Archon. But even though Showtime is forced back, even though Showtime doesn't kill Raynor, what did he just do? He killed 11 workers and he shut down a base. He was able to kill a base. Raynor, he's down to 3 hatcheries. Right now, Raynor is double expanding. He's taking his 4th and his 5th base. Showtime, he has the better economy. Technically, Showtime has the better economy. He's working towards Storm, heavier Immortal count. Now he knows what's happening. Oh, that lurker count is quite high though. That's a lot of lurkers. It's getting higher and higher here, and are these Immortals going to be enough for Showtime? That's the question. They're okay against a low amount of lurkers, but once we hit critical mass, they can stumble around each other. They can have a really hard time engaging. I do worry. Good revelation. Good revelation on the army. Raynor pushing forward, coming in once again. Good feedback. Okay, good feedbacks here. Only 1 yoink does land. But you can see here the lurkers, there's no pushing in. There's no pushing into all these lurkers. It's not going to happen. Showtime being forced back, waiting for reinforcements, going for some big warp ins. More Immortals are on the way. Gets a revelation off. Again, that's going to be 11 lurkers here for Raynor. Now, we can break this with good storms. The first storm gets thrown down, so is the second. Oh, we can't be too wasteful with them, though. Yeah, there we go. We collapse on the army. These lurkers, they don't have a lot of support. And nice storm here on the lurkers as well. Big spine shields going off on the Archons, though. Ooh, Archons are going down. And you can see that this position is not broken. The lurkers, they stand strong. But now we're going to be backing off. But that was a good fight for Raynor. He shaved off High Templar and Archons as they try to break free. What's also important here is that Raynor, he's regathering energy on that Viper, or on those Vipers. They survived. They got feedbacked, but they did survive, so they're just regathering energy. 5 more lurkers on the way. Oh, this is getting a bit out of hand. I think that's what, 14, 15 lurkers? Jesus. The lurker count just getting higher and higher. And this is the moment where I would say that Immortals lose their effectiveness, and we would have needed Skytoss here. The problem is that Showtime doesn't have the freedom, doesn't have the bank to transition into Skytoss. He's stuck with a ground army. Again, not impossible for Showtime, but just very difficult to push in. We need some insane storms. Lings, they do get into Mineral Line. Spine shots going off here on the Nexus. Zelarambai does get caught out. We're trying to go for a flank. But the Lings are doing such a great job here just buffering for those lurkers. We do shut down one of them. Show us the storms. Big storms. Good storms here on those lurkers. It looks like we are breaking through. The Immortals are getting on top of them. Good target firing here out of Showtime, and he does break through every single lurker. There's one lurker left, and hopefully we get eyes on it. It kills one more Immortal, but it will go down. Whew, Showtime, he takes a fight. Raynor shaking his head on cams, not happy about that. The Vipers weren't there. You could see the Vipers, they were halfway across the map. The Vipers were on the way. Raynor barely was not ready for that fight. Need a little bit more time. Needed those Vipers. And again, you can see these Vipers, they're chilling here full of energy, but nothing to do. And now Showtime, he's looking good. Like, remember how long it took to build up those lurkers? To get up to 15 lurkers, it took a good couple of minutes there. And now Raynor has to start from square one. He has to start from the beginning. 5 lurkers are morphing in, and what are 5 lurkers against this army? Showtime, he's doing well here, and suddenly this ground army, I was talking about how it was being outscaled, not anymore. Now this ground army, it is good enough to deal with the army of Raynor. The lurker count, not high enough, not anymore. Does depend on the angle, as we are on top of the ramp. Pushing up this ramp is inadvisable. we don't want to push into that. But we can rotate around and try to clear up creep, gain map control. Now would be a really good time, as we're getting a 5th base, Stargates. Now would be a good time for Stargates here for Showtime. Stargates, a fleet beacon, and getting ready for something like carriers. But for now, Showtime, it looks like he's focusing on maxing out. It looks like he's not feeling comfortable and confident taking up. So you can see that he's just maxing out. There it is. +1 air attack is on the way. He's thinking about it. +1 air attack is on the way. No fleet beacon yet. No Stargate yet. But we should... Well, that should be in the back of our mind. And we need to start working on that sooner rather than later. There it is. Fleet beacon's now on the way. Took a while, but Showtime's working on it. Zealots, they do bust in. They get a queen. They get into the mineral line. Ooh, and Raynor's being pulled apart. Good damage dealt here so far. Zealots, they trade very well. 14 drones go down. The lurkers, they're quite imposing. We have to respect them, but we get a base. We get 14 drones and a base. And now we have to survive the counterattack. Showtime, all he has to do is back off, race back home, and survive the eventual counterattack as he's forcing Raynor all in. Raynor, he's on a low drone count, but he's about to max. Yeah, he's going for the base trade. He's going for the base trade, and Showtime isn't fully ready for this. Yeah, he's committing as well. We have a base trade upon us as Showtime refuses to turn around. He breaks the 3rd base. He breaks the 4th base as well. We have detection. Back at home, his natural is being broken, though. And Raynor, he's moving in towards the main, trying to camp the production. We have a line of lurkers. Can Showtime break through the natural? Will he come back home? He's trying to force it here. Yeah, there's not enough to protect the lurkers. Big storm on the drones. 50 workers go down, and we have broken the natural. We're getting into the main base as well. Showtime, he could win by elimination. GG gets called. There's nothing out on the map, and Showtime takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Boppy. GG, well played. Meanwhile, a big shout to SteelBolt. Thank you so much for subscribing. Oh my, 63. When he fought the 15 lurkers, on the right-hand side, at the linear 3rd base location, that was so close because if you remember, Vipers were on the way. He was able to engage, collapse on those lurkers just before the Vipers arrived. If there were Vipers, we would have seen blinding clouds, maybe some abductions on the Immortals as well. It would have been a different fight. I'm not saying that Raynor would have won then and there, but it would have been a different fight, and it could have led to a different outcome as well. Again, it was so close for him to engage when he did, and it was seconds later than that the Vipers would have arrived. So, again, a very clutch fight, a very clutch timing from Showtime. I don't think he was even aware. I mean, he did see the army, and he saw that there were no Vipers, so he took the opportunity when he could, and he was able to break that. And when that army was broken, Showtime was in the driver's seat. But here we go, we're getting into the next game, into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have Showtime for Berlin International Gaming. And in the top right, we have his opponent, we have the Italian Zerg player Raynor for Basilisk. Let's go. Whew. Let us go. Again, I was concerned that Showtime was maybe sticking to ground toss a little bit too long, but clearly he showed us that, nah, you can still make it work. It was close though. It was clutch, but still made it work in the end. Was able to break through those lurker lines, come out on top, take a lead in the series, and now he has that 1-0 lead in his favor. But now we're getting into Game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Alkyone, a much larger map, a little more macro-oriented. It is a little bit harder to break the third and break the fourth base locations. There's also the gold to bear in mind, and Zerg players can try to rush into that a little bit earlier, a little bit faster. But in general, Alkyone leads to longer games. Usually we have longer macro games on this map. But the problem is that Showtime, he's known for his mid to late game, right? Like, he's known for his army control in these big fights. And I worry that, yeah, I mean, this map is going to be favoring him, I feel, a little bit. Meanwhile, that's an interesting opener. Okay, so it's going to be a Hatch Gas Pool from Raynor, standard opener from our red Zerg player, but something that's not standard is Showtime's opener. He's delaying his expansion. He delays the Nexus in favor of 2 gates. So it was a 2-gate opener into a Cybercore, into a Nexus here from Showtime, so a very aggressive build. The purpose of this is to get into earlier and more Adepts early on. So just a high amount of Adepts early on. We can go into a double Adept, into a set of 4, into a set of 6, and we can try to wreak havoc early on. Raynor, with the Overlord Scout, he should confirm this. As the Overlord is coming in, he is going to get eyes on both gateways, see their timing. He's also going to confirm the timing of the natural base, and he's going to immediately recognize it is a 2-gate opener. And as we can see, the first 2 Adepts are being chronoed as we speak. So again, just a very aggressive start here from Showtime. We'll see if he commits into a 3rd and 4th Adept as well. You don't have to. We could just go double Adept, then into, a transition. But there it is, a 3rd and 4th Adept. Showtime is doubling down. Oh boy. Very aggressive build here out of Showtime. Now, Lings are on the way. Basically, Raynor has to cut drones. He has to make additional Lings, especially because Ling speed is still on the way, and he has to just respect this. And Showtime doesn't have to commit to a Shade. He doesn't have to get into a mineral line. He can, and he can one-shot workers, but upon seeing all these Lings, he should just be looking to contain his opponent and just dip his toes whenever he can. Not completely commit. As if they do actually commit to the Shade. Ooh, was this a wise move? We got 1 drone kill. The Lings are able to surround one of the Adepts. The Adept goes down. The second Adept as well. That was not worth it for Showtime. Remember, he delayed his own expansion to go for a double to go for this 2-gate opener, and both Adepts fall. Now we have the 3rd and 4th Adepts, but this could have been so much stronger. This could have been so much more scarier for Raynor if these were 4 Adepts instead of 2. So a bit of a blunder there by Showtime, misjudging the situation, throwing 2 Adepts away for 1 drone. And now Raynor, he's looking good. He is looking good. Meanwhile, we have our tech of choice. Showtime, is that you? I should have said, Hero, is that you? That's a Twilight Council follow-up from the 2-gate opener. We're not going for Oracles. We're not going for a Stargate. This is not standard. This is going to be aggressive instead. And with this, we can go into Glaze. We can go into a Dark Shrine. Which are we going for? With 2 more gates on the way, show us the Glaive Adepts. Show it to us. Meanwhile, Raynor, that is a, 3-minute 50 Roach Warren timing. Roach Warren's on the way. The tech is scouted. The Overlord sees everything. And Glaives is indeed on the way for Showtime. And Raynor knows all. He sees all. Thankfully, because Raynor threw down an early Roach Warren, he will have Roaches in time. He should have the tools to defend here. It's all about the execution. And Showtime, he's in a rough place. In a way, kind of forcing himself all in here, just hyper doubling down and committing here to this aggression. He needs to pick off some workers. He needs to trade well, get some economic damage done. We'll see if he can. We'll see if he can. So now he threatens a Shade. There's 8 Roaches on the way already. Raynor cutting workers at 41. We have the Prism on the way to help reinforce, to help warp in. Again, it's 4 gates in total. We have the Dark Shrine behind this just because we're that much more committed. There's a world where if Raynor skipped his Spores, then maybe this could work, but as we can see, he did not. Spores are still in the way for Raynor. He is playing it safe. He knows that there could be Dark Templar alongside this as well. So Raynor, he's ready for the worst case scenario. Now, what I will say, Showtime could snipe the Spore with these Adepts. He could threaten Shades, he could try to pull Raynor apart, and if he's able to get into a mineral line, He could try to focus on the Spore, but that would be a little bit suspect. That would be a little bit telling for Raynor. And yeah, for now, Raynor is just chilling. He's droning. Raynor, he's free to drone. He's freely droning up. Now, what's concerning here is that Showtime isn't making... Oh, no, never mind. He's making probes. I was going to say that he isn't making workers and he's looking more and more all in. But it looks like he is making a couple of probes. That FC get dropped into the main. They're going to be forced to pick up. You can see Showtime, I think he does want to expand. He does want to take a third base. But there are links to stop him. Plenty of links in position. Yeah, and this build from Showtime just has not worked out well. The probe is going to get focused out. We delay the third base. Showtime is trying to expand, trying to transition. It's not happening. Not like this. A couple of them shade in, but they're going to be shut down. The Prism gets targeted as well. Oh my god. Yeah, GG gets called. There's nothing else that can be done. And Raynor, he does hold, he does defend, and he shuts down the aggression of Showtime, tying up the series 1-1. GG. Oh. Again, that was just a really unfortunate turn of events for Showtime. Winding it back, if you remember, he went for a 2-gate opener. He lost his first 2 Adepts. He went into a Glaive Adept follow-up, which got completely scouted. Raynor happened to already be going for a fast Roach Warren, so he was safe and sound. Raynor also had Spores in every base, so the DT follow-up didn't do anything either. On top of that, the cherry on top was Raynor keeping Lings in position at the third base to delay the third even further. And I mean, even if the Prism didn't get sniped, things were looking dire for Showtime. Like, that was just an unfortunate turn of events for Showtime in Game 2. And I was a little bit shocked by the build. It's very not Showtime, right? Like, going for a double gate opener into Glaive Adepts, like, it's just not something that Showtime does often. And you know, maybe Showtime, I mean, clearly he was just trying to play with the series and trying to catch Raynor off guard. It makes sense, right? Like, if we're loading into Alkione, which is a map known for macro, and Showtime is also known for macro, like, I understand the logic there, like, trying to meta game Raynor, essentially, trying to lure him into a false sense of security. But unfortunately for Showtime, Raynor was on top of his scouting and he figured it all out and shut it all down. And yeah, with that, we're now tied up 1-1. That lead from Showtime is no longer there, and I'm hoping that we don't deviate too much from here. I'm hoping that from this point onward, you know, Showtime, maybe it's wiser to rely on our strengths here, especially against Raynor, right? Like, Raynor, he's a world-class player. He's a world champion. He's one of the best players in the world, and yeah, it may just be wise here to just fall back here and rely on what we are good at, so what we thrive in. Some more mid to late game play out of Showtime, but we'll see. We'll see. Especially because we're loading into hard lead. Watch under the Red Bull fridge. You can see 2. I think those are like rabbits game. Looks like Raynor has a return, and spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the German Protoss. It is Showtime for BIG. And in the bottom right hand corner, we have the opponent. We have the Italian Zerg player for Basilisk. It is Raynor. Is it the second season of arcade drama? Yes, exactly. Oh no. Oppa, what have you done? Hi. Este Showtime. As from here, we're just settling into our game. And we'll keep an eye on Showtime, right? What's important here as we're going for a hatch first from Raynor is going to be a hatch gas pool, standard opener from our red Zerg player. But after what just happened in that last game, after what we saw from Showtime, clearly we can't take him for granted. Clearly we can't be like, oh yeah, Showtime is just going to open up standard, go, you know, Stargate opener into triple oracle, into a third base, into +1. Like, that's not set in stone here. Based on what we've seen, especially after that game number 2, he could be willing to spice it up again, right? He could be willing to throw in another Twilight Council opener, go for Glaive Adepts for a second time, for a third time. Showtime, I do appreciate that he's spreading his wings, and he's no longer just, you know, a macro player. He is willing to be more aggressive, be more cheesy at times. It's definitely good to see, and it's really good growth as a player as well, to be a little bit more unpredictable. That's the biggest downside of players like Showtime. I say the same thing about Solar quite often as well, is that, like, sure, like, if you want to play a certain style, if you get really good at it, it's amazing, sure, but at the same time, you can be taken advantage of if you do become predictable, if you do the same thing over and over again. So I do appreciate that Showtime is mixing it up. Whether it succeeds or not, I mean, that's a different question. that's not what we're talking about. It's fine, it's fine. For now, though, it is going to be a Stargate opener, so it's going to be a gate expand into Cybercore into a Stargate, so this time it is a standard opener out of Showtime, at least this time here in Game 3. Meanwhile, likewise, Raynor just getting into his 2-base saturation, working towards a third alongside it, and pulling out of gas once he gets that 100 gas filling speed. So far everything is looking as it should from both players. No one is deviating, no one is rushing into anything. So far, everything is above board and above the belt. And we are settling into our game. We're just going to be keeping an eye on Showtime to see his follow-up tech. Whether he goes for just triple Oracle into a third. He could cut Oracle production and go for a faster Twilight Council. That is a build that you can go for, or a variation. But now though, Oracles are on the way. Overlord is going to be zoned away by the Stalker, so Raynor, he's a little bit more in the dark. Again, these Stalkers are more akin to a Twilight Council opener, so Raynor maybe fed a little bit of false information, but he should have seen the timing of the Warp Gate, so he should be okay. Now the Oracle does reveal itself. Raynor knows. Is now aware of the Oracle opener. Third base is on the way. And you can see that this time Showtime was not aggressive at all with his Adepts. We saw that, again, he lost them in that last game. He did bleed them out. That snowballed out of control. The same thing happened in game number 1 as well. This time a much more passive approach, much more, again, defensive, not harassing at all with his Adepts, respecting Raynor quite a bit. We saw it happen in game 1, where if you lose your first 2 Adepts, then suddenly you lose your probe, you delay your third base, your Oracles are stuck at home, you don't do any damage. Like, it all happened in game 1. Similar things in game 2. So Showtime, he has learned. He's learned that his Adept harass is not ideal against Raynor. Said just sharking around with the Oracles. He hasn't killed anything yet, but he also hasn't lost any hull damage on his Oracles. They're still able to maintain themselves, threatening that main. Adepts are now moving out. Okay, we have 4 Adepts on the ground, threatening the third. We have 2 Oracles for the main. We have 1 Oracle for the third base. Sorry, for the natural. Bit of a tri-pronged attack here from Showtime. Actually going to be joining forces with those Adepts. He's looking to break the third. And can he get on top of the Queen? Oh, not quite. Oracle heads towards the natural. Queens are in position. The Oracle does take a bit of damage there. And Raynor, he does defend. Ooh, even doing some extra hull damage there to that Oracle. Showtime leaving that Oracle idle. You can see here getting very low. So a bit of miscontrol or inattention by Showtime. And he's going for the tried and true quadruple Oracle. Okay, this is a build, this is a style that Showtime was known for last year. He would do this time and time again. This is like kind of the classic standard Showtime playstyle. Going up to 4 Oracles, dives into the natural base, gets a Queen. Gets 1, but oh, loses out 2 Oracles. This was not worth it. Not worth it here. 2 Oracles for 1 Queen for a handful of drones. Another Oracle almost goes down. Now, what I was going to say is that typically what Showtime would do is get up to 4 Oracles, and because he invested harder into Oracles, he would cut corners when it comes to warping in Stalkers. He would delay Stalker warp-ins, he would focus on harassing with Adepts and Oracles, and build up and tech up into a 4-base setup, into Colossus production, into a higher form of tech, and, you know, push out there on 4 bases. But this has gone a little bit awry. We do shade into that third base. Drones are going down, by the way. That's a lot of workers. 5 drones fall. We get a 6th. Up. Barely. We do get a 6th drone. A 7th drone going to be going down. Finally, Showtime popping off. Finally, damage is done. We shade into the main base. Raynor, a little bit of lapse in attention there. Is pulled apart. Will get us around on these deaths, but gets 9 drones in total. Very nicely done here by Showtime. He makes up for his earlier fall, for his earlier deficit. Does make up for it. Behind this, Showtime getting up to 3-base saturation. You can see him here growing for a 4th base. And the reason why Showtime can afford all this is, again, he has been skipping warp-ins. Like, he has gateways, but he has been avoiding Stalkers. and preserving that money and spending it elsewhere in tech and in bases and in his economy as well. Now, usually Showtime would be safer in this position if he had 4 oracles, but because he's down to 2, I'm a little bit more concerned for Showtime. Like, this game hasn't been as clean as we have seen in the past. As I say that, we find a base without a spore, without any queens, 4 more drones go down. I have to eat my words, because initially I was like, oh, is this worth it? I mean, oh my god, we almost bleed out another oracle, but we got 5 more drone kills. Raynor forced to reinvest, forced to rebuild those workers, and he's getting into Ling Bane Hydra. Now, as Raynor's building up on Ling Bane Hydra, Showtime is rushing into Storm. Double Robo on the way. I mean, look at this. Showtime, he hasn't warped in quite some time. That Stalker count has not gotten higher, and he's investing into 6 more gateways, 2 more Robos, Storm +2, charge. You can see how greedy or how many corners he's cutting, and he is vulnerable. Like, you can see the disparity in supply. But if Showtime is given like an extra minute, he will soon start warping in. He will soon start focusing on his army because he's already invested so heavily into all this tech, and it is soon about to pay off. Raynor, he's on a timer. Raynor's on the timer, and thankfully he's pushing. You can see him here. Raynor is droned up to 84. Again, because there are less oracles to threaten him, he can push out. We do have some storms. Basically, Showtime is relying on these storms to defend, to hold on, to survive, as Raynor's about to max out. He's about to max out, and Raynor has to break this 4th base soon. The longer this goes on, the harder it's going to become for Raynor, because Showtime is going to slowly get away with all those upgrades, with all that tech, with all that production, with those 80 workers, as he's on 79 probes. And here we go, we're going for a Doom drop. Okay, interesting decision here. I like this. So, I do agree with Raynor in the sense that a frontal assault is going to be difficult because there are so many High Templar and so many Storms. So pushing with Ling Hydra is going to be difficult. But going for a split push, going for a drop into the main, this can get some damage done. Raynor is going to try and pull Showtime apart. We'll see if he can. There we go, we have 4 drop lords here towards the main base. The main army has been spotted, dragged out of position. And now we have free reign of the main. Now we could recall. If we do recall, there's the hope, there's the chance that maybe Showtime recalls too much and then we break the forward base. So we go, Raynor threatens a dive. Storms are getting wasted here, but some good storms here on the banelings. Good storm on the Hydras. Lings and Hydras, they bust into the main base. So far only getting 6 probes. Not too much damage. Big storm on the banelings. Again, that's a lot of banelings, but they do not connect. And Showtime, he's holding. He's holding on. I appreciate the tri-pronged attack here from Raynor, but it just falls on its face. Showtime, he's a brick wall. He is Demour. And Showtime, he takes 7 probe losses. And now he's got plenty of High Templar, plenty of Storm, Immortals. Remember, Raynor had a massive supply lead. No longer. Showtime, he's made it. And again, this is his playstyle that he's known for. Again, going up to 4 oracles, being quite aggressive and harassing with them, and then turtling up on 4 bases and getting up to this stage. Do you have a bailing drop here in towards that natural? Can we get into the mineral line? We cannot. The probes are saved. And basically, the name of the game for Showtime has been defending up until a point. Showtime's about to max out, and by the time he does, he's going to be pushing. And unfortunately for Raynor, just now, the Lurker Den starts. Without Lurkers, it's going to be a tough hold. Like this, the quality of the army for Showtime is pretty insane. He's working on +3. +3 is on the way for Showtime, while +1 range is on the way for Raynor. So again, the upgrades, the composition, it's all heavily in favor of Showtime. In a head-on fight, I do think that Showtime will come out on top and he will snowball out of control. You can see that Raynor is trying to go for a split push. He's trying to distract Showtime and he's trying to buy time. Right now, the name of the game for Raynor, he has to buy time for Lurkers. For the Lurker Den, for the Hive, for the upgrades as well. +2, +3, Lurker range, Lurker burrow, Vipers. The problem is that that's a lot that I just listed, right? Like, there's a lot that we need right now, and we don't quite have it. Good engage, though, as we're coming in for a surround. Yeah, we collapse from multiple angles. Storm's thrown down here on the Ling Bane. High Templar, they're going to be saved. Bailey's, they're going to be crashing into these Stalkers. Big connections. Stalkers are getting annihilated, and the Immortals are caught out as well on their own. A very good fight, a very good engage here by Raynor. Caught out in the open. Big storm on the Hydras. But Showtime, he's lost his steam. He's lost his momentum. That was the ideal fight for Raynor. Out in the open. A big flank. The Stalkers, they crumbled. And now Raynor, he's bought the time he needed. Like, sure, Raynor, he may not win the game from here, but because he was able to stifle the army, now Raynor has the time to get into all these lurker upgrades and to get into lurker tech. So a very necessary hold and a very necessary fight from Raynor. He does survive. And now the question becomes, does Showtime work towards Sky Toss? 8 lurkers are on the way. We were in this position in game 1. Is Showtime going to commit to Mass Immortal against lurkers, which is risky, by the way, very risky to go for this style, or do we go for +1 air attack, Stargates, Fleet Beacon, and work towards carriers? Now the ball is in Showtime's court because Raynor, he's maxed, and he has a good lurker count. No Vipers, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think a Viper was made, which is less than ideal. But he may not need any Vipers. We'll see if he's able to, how he's able to engage. As Showtime's out of position, we push towards the center base. There are storms to defend, but only storms, and the lurkers, they zone the High Templar away. Yeah, lurker range is done. We annihilate the mineral line. The betas get in. 19 probes go down. Big damage dealt. And Raynor, again, he surrounds those Zelts. He shuts them down. We're trying to come in for a surround. Can we collapse on these lurkers? A good storms, a good flank here from Showtime. A good fight, but it's costing him too much. Again, he lost the mineral line. He lost most High Templar. I think maybe every single High Templar. I'm quickly scanning, and I don't think he has... Yeah, he's warping in. He has to warp in. He has to rebuild those High Templar. Like, Showtime doesn't have an army to counterattack. Not anymore. He cannot counterattack from here. He's stuck at home. And Raynor, he can remax and do that again. And eventually, Showtime is going to be broken. Like, we need like a miracle defense here from Showtime. Which would have been easier if there weren't lurkers. That's the problem here. Like, this lurker army does complicate things. It does make it awkward and difficult to engage. Without surrounds, without flanks, like the lurkers, they trade so efficiently. Showtime just trying to keep up. Stasis traps on the way. Showtime split between his bases. Lurkers have arrived. Gateway's going to be going down. Yeah, and once again, we're within range of that mineral line. A Ling round by is shut down. The base taking a lot of damage. Probes are falling once again. 10 workers falling. Oh my god. And again, Showtime cannot expand. He cannot take another base. We're trying to push in. These lurkers, they are lacking some support. Where's the Ling Bane? Where are the Hydras? Ooh, expensive loss here for Raynor, as these lurkers are going to be going down. Not the best fight for our Zerg player here. He does get some 12 workers, but heavy lurker is falling. A very expensive loss. Showtime, we gotta go. That was a very good fight, but Showtime, he's not feeling confident. He backs off. Raynor, he's remaxing once again. I understand the logic here, but it's risky. Basically, Showtime, he's hoping to absorb these attacks. He's hoping to just build up his army and just absorb these attacks, take more efficient fights, and then counterattack. I feel like that may have been his moment and his opportunity missed. But there are going to be more opportunities later if Raynor apes in again. The problem here is that Raynor, he's not staying on lurker tech. That's a Spire on the way. That should be for a greater Spire, and that should be for Broodlords. So he's thinking about those Broodlords, and of course this ground army from Showtime is going to struggle that much more against Broodlords as well. To get the revelation, yo, Showtime setting up us around. Trying to come in from behind, but he runs into more lurkers. Raynor, he does notice. He does pull back. High Templar looking a bit exposed. Raynor coming in. It looks like as Showtime takes down a base, we get some big lurker harass here coming in, going for the center base of Showtime. Oh, the next is getting quite low. Once again, we come in for the surround though. Not too bad. That's 5 lurkers, by the way. But at the same time, a big Ling Bane counterattack. We deny this 3rd base, or the 5th even. It does go down, and now Showtime's all in. He's completely all in. He's all in, pushing into lurkers. Oof. Yeah, there were just too many of them. Again, as we saw, with this kind of army, the only way to deal with lurkers is to flank it, is to come in from behind or from the side. To collapse on it from multiple angles. Lings, they dive on the Nexus. Nexus goes down. Showtime, he's running out of steam. He's trying to brute force it. Decent storms. He is breaking his way through the first line of lurkers and through the second. He's slowly breaking through, and can Showtime keep going? He has detection. There's 2 lurkers left, but oh, he's running out of steam. Reinforcements are on the way. Again, he's so close to breaking Raynor. He gets 20 worker kills. Again, there's only 2 lurkers. He can do it. He can do a big storm here on the Hydras. Showtime, he's barely breaking through. Raynor shaking his head, by the way. Shaking his head on cams, and it looks like Showtime forced all in, is pulling this off. Boys are being pulled, and Showtime, he has done it. GG gets called. Showtime takes a lead in the series 2-1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. A very dire position, by the way. Showtime, he lost his 4th, he lost his 5th base, he lost a bunch of probes. Showtime was completely all in there, but he did brute force his way through the line of lurkers, and thankfully for Showtime, Raynor, he had a good chunk of Ling Bane harassing elsewhere, not in position to protect those lurkers to keep them safe. So it wasn't the prettiest fight. As you saw, both players were plummeting in supply in that fight, but Showtime was able to barely break through, was able to barely get on top of those lurkers. The storms were good. We just took the storms to the face, and it wasn't just Showtime killing the army, it was also Showtime camping the production, getting on top of those hatcheries and making sure that Raynor could not reinforce. GG, well played. Whew, Showtime needs one more, uno más, to advance on and to qualify for the main event for the offline finals of StarsWar 11. Raynor has to fight back here and now to force the ace match, otherwise he is eliminated from the tournament. Oh boy. And if you remember at the start of the series, I wanted the ace match. I wanted this to go the distance. I know that we can get an ace match. I would say that Showtime and Raynor are pretty comparable here in skill. As we're seeing, it is a back and forth, and I'm hoping, regardless of how this goes, that we can get to a game 5. Oh, that is kind of his signature move, going up to 4 oracles for that very playstyle. We spoke about it during the game, but Showtime, it goes up to 4 oracles. He does take up quite a lurker. Never went for Vipers, which again would have been a great supportive unit if he found the room for it. But here we go, we're getting to our next game. In the top left, we have Showtime, 1 game away from qualifying, and in the bottom right, we have Raynor for Basilisk. Ooh, not looking too happy there, maybe a little bit frustrated, rolling back his eyes a little bit. Hopefully he's okay. Again, if there was anything like a lag spike or anything like that going on, then of course we would pause. Players would ask for a pause. So hopefully everything's okay from the side of Raynor. Again, maybe just a little bit frustrated about that last game. Raynor can be a very emotional player, which is, I mean, why so many love him. He does wear his heart on his sleeve, which we always do appreciate. Here we go. For the time being, Raynor is going to be going for his hatch gas pool. Hatchery has been thrown down. Should be followed by the gases and the spawning pool, and there it is. So a standard build here out of Raynor. Showtime getting into his own build of choice as well. Meanwhile, we are loading into Side Delta. Okay, so Side Delta has a bit of a longer rush distance by ground compared to Hardlead, of course. Does have a ramp leading into natural, so a very defendable natural base here compared to other maps. That is something to bear in mind as well. So I'm sure Showtime is going to be a lot more comfortable on a map like Side Delta. This would not be a bad map to invest and go into that quadruple Oracle style again. The downside is that you do leave yourself vulnerable quite a bit when you go for that style, and I don't know if it's wise playing like that 2 games in a row. Because I'm sure Raynor is aware of it. I'm sure he's played against it, beaten it before in the past, and is more than aware of how to punish it. So I do worry a little bit for Showtime if he were to play the same style, but we'll see. For now, just a gate expand into Cybercore. Cybercore is done, and we're soon getting into our tech of choice. I think Showtime is the best German player. Can play very good, but never got it in the near of the top. A bit disappointing. I mean, sure, like Showtime, he's an amazing player. I think I get what you're saying in the sense that Showtime, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was never a champion. I'm gonna have to double check that, but at least in recent years, Showtime, he never quite had a deep like a finals run like that, even though we all know he's amazing, right? We all know he's such a good player, and he's always at the top of Europe. For a very long time, he's been like the best Protoss or the second best Protoss, second only to MaxPax. Like Showtime, he's amazing at what he does, but yeah, he's never quite been able to to go for that deep run and take a championship title, which is kind of crazy. I say never taking a championship title. My apologies. Quickly double checking here. It looks like back in 2017, which again was quite some time ago, but his last big win was in 2017. So in recent modern StarCraft, it's what it's been lacking. Meanwhile, if they get in, they get 3 drone kills. Not bad. Both adepts do fall, but 3 drone kills is pretty good damage there by Showtime. I'm sure he was hoping for more, but not bad. Behind this is going to be keeping his Oracle back at home. Now that the first 2 adepts have fallen, now Raynor has map control, and now we can threaten the third. As we can see, the third base is on the way. Lings are about to hit them, or hit that third, but that is why we keep the Oracle at home, to protect it, to defend. The downside, of course, being is that the Oracle can't harass across the map, as we're going to be stuck at home a little bit here, at least until we build up that Oracle count. But yeah, it was back in 2017 WCS Montreal is when Showtime took his win. That was, 2017 was his year. He also took 2017 WCS Austin, the European regionals. I should emphasize. Those are some big wins. Like that's some peak Showtime. But yeah, nowadays he's always at the top. But it does feel like, at least in modern StarCraft, he's been like the bridesmaid, but never quite the bride. But that may all change here and now. I mean, hey, he's 1 game away from bringing Raynor down. Like that is no easy feat. And here we go. Do have the double Oracle heading towards that natural base. Adept's going to be threatening that third as well. We do manage to get a couple of drones. 4 drones go down. The Oracles, they do barely escape. And the Queen Intercept is pretty good. We do snipe one of the Oracles. Big pick off there by Raynor. A bit of a slip up by Showtime. Losing an Oracle for 4 drones, not worth it. Not worth it for Showtime. But behind this, he's transitioning. He's working towards the Twilight Council, working towards Blink. Do we have a Forge? I apologize. I was reading chat. I did miss the Forge if it was thrown down. That is going to be quite a gateway explosion. We already had 2 gates, so I believe that's going to be 7. Sorry. I believe that's going to be leading up to 6, soon to be 7 gateways here for Showtime. If we throw down additional gateways, this could be a 3-base all-in. It's a little bit old school. Hero still whips it out from time to time, but what I'm referring to is a 3-base, 8-gate blink all-in. Without a Forge, without +1, that's what I'm leaning towards. Again, I can't quite check the gateway counts, but I believe we have at least 6 at the moment, and we could proxy another gateway across the map. There we go, another gateway gets thrown down. That's 7 gates. 7 gates for Showtime. The 8th gateway, I believe, is going to be proxied to reinforce across the map, and we're committing. Yeah, we are committing. Yep, there's the pylon, there's the probe, proxy 8th gate. It's an 8-gate 3-base all-in. We haven't seen this in the meta for a couple of months. This was very popular last year in the previous map pool. We saw this a lot more commonly. And this is going to hit like a truck. And Raynor, ooh, does he realize what's going on? He has been droning. He is making a handful of roaches. There's that 8th gateway as a proxy to reinforce. And basically, Showtime is going to be just warping in pure stalkers and trying to overwhelm and snowball out of control and break Raynor. And I'm worried that Raynor hasn't pieced this together yet. He's still droning. He's throwing down a Spire. A Spire is not what we need. Uh-oh. Oh, this is going to be a tough defense. This is going to be a tight hold here for Raynor. Stalkers, they have arrived. Roach speed just started, by the way. Again, we delayed Roach speed. We delayed quite a bit here in favor of the Mutas, in favor of the Spire. Lings, they do catch some of these reinforcements, but the Oracles, they hit a support. The Oracles, they go to town here. All these Lings. Lings are going down. 14 more Lings on the way. We're already applying pressure to the 4th base. The hatchery is low, and the hatchery should go down. So Raynor, he breaks the... Sorry, Showtime, he breaks the 4th base. Now he's pushing towards the 3rd, towards the natural, and he's not stopping. Again, it is a 3-base all-in. Forge is now on the way. Showtime, he's deviating away. He's working on a later game. But he could just break Raynor here and now. This could just be too much. Raynor, he's amassing as many Ravagers as he can. Trying to buy time. Bile does connect. We're focusing on Ravagers. Lings are coming in for us around it. Oh, the stasis is set up. Raynor has to be so careful. You can see him. He's trying to bait in the army. Trying to come in from behind. And Showtime is being slowed down. And you can see Showtime, he just started a robo. With that Forge, with that robo, it looks like Showtime, he's not feeling too confident about being able to end the game. But I think he can. But the longer this goes on, like, the more the Raynor has to defend. Yeah, so Showtime is not diving in. You can see here, he's just skirting around the edge of creep, taking down tumors, taking down overlords. Yeah, he's transitioning. So Showtime, it looks like he's content with the damage he's dealt, and now he's trying to work on that next step. He is down in upgrades. He is down in tech. The Robo is just now finishing to get into Immortal production. Spire, I believe, is done. Good blinks out of Showtime. Shaving off Lings. Big Link counter-attack here across the map. Does deny any kind of fourth base. Containing Showtime to 3 bases. And again, maybe we need a little bit more. We needed a little bit more urgency earlier by Showtime, because I do think he could have kept pushing after killing the 4th, but alas, he was slowed down. Respecting Raynor quite a lot, is being forced back, and Raynor is expanding towards the south, taking another base, taking another hatchery. And Raynor, his drone count is still looking quite healthy. Remember, Raynor, he may have lost the hatchery, but he didn't lose any drones. But here we go, Showtime, he is going to be committing again. That's a lot of Stalkers. Lings are pushing in, Stasis Trap goes up. Oh, Bile, some of them do connect. And Raynor, he's forcing this back. Raynor, he is holding. And where's the 4th? Where is Showtime's 4th base? He still doesn't have one. +1 just kicked in. We do get some Adept Harass here in the natural. We get a couple of drone kills. And there it is. Now we get the 4th base on the way for Showtime, but it's a late 4th. Has been delayed. Again, this is a really wonky game. I think I want to favor Raynor at this point. It's hard to say just because the drone counts are still... Oh, sorry, the economy is still quite low. The worker counts are still quite low for both players. It's still a very tense situation. Very tense. Showtime, he can still break his opponent if Raynor does slip up in his control and slip up. Like even here, for example, as Lings are going down. Big stasis here on the Lings. But the Roach Ravager is trading well. As Showtime being forced further and further back. At the same time, Baneling Runby does slip into that mineral line, getting 6 probes. Making sure that Showtime's economy doesn't get out of hand. Ooh, but Raynor is going to be bleeding out a couple of Overlords here towards the left. Does supply block Raynor. Even if just for a moment, Raynor, though, he's maxed out. Yeah, again, like, it feels like Raynor, he's just outscaling Showtime. We will snipe a base. Do we force a recall? I'm going to try and trade as best we can against these Lings, forcing a big reaction out of Raynor. Going to be bleeding out some Stalkers. Where are those Oracles, by the way? We need them. Do we have another blink? We do. Desperate blinks everything back here. The Oracles, they come into support. We're back up to 4 Oracles. Oh, but this is a hefty loss for Showtime, bleeding out a lot of Stalkers. The Oracles are doing what they can, but 2 of them get piled down. Ay, ay, ay. There are Mutas in the main base. And Raynor, he's snowballing out of control. Again, he survived the 3 base all in. He did live, and with that, he's just outscaling his opponent. The Mutas, they get 10 probe kills. Even if they all get shut down here, like, I mean, Raynor's still maxed out. Like, he's still maxed. He can break the 4th. There's nothing holding him back. Not anymore. I guess the Banelings are holding him back. They're keeping the Ravagers back a little bit longer here, but soon we're going to finish up, and there we go. Now we can move out. And this death ball of an army, this maxed out army, how do we deal with this? Like, remember, earlier in game 3, we were able to survive with Storm, right? With High Templar, with some splash damage, but we don't have any of that. Again, because of the delayed tech, there's no Immortals, no Colossi, no Disruptors, no High Templar, there's no nothing. Only Blink Stalkers, and here we go. Raynor, he's rolling on up. Crashes into that 3rd base. Banelings, yeah, they are able to engage here with the Stalkers. Not the most efficient trades, but regardless, the Stalkers are falling. Showtime bleeding out 38 probes. Banelings, they come in from behind. They hit the 4th base. The economy has been crippled, and we've been here before. GG gets caught. I was about to say that Showtime is forced all in, and we are going to the ace match. Raynor, he fights back. Whew. GG, well played. Again, honestly, in 3/4, he was looking not bad at all, but did slip away, did slip through his fingers. It is hard to transition out of an all-in like that. And yeah, with that, we find ourselves in game 5. Who is feeling better on the day? Who is confident? Who is on point? Who can bring this? Oceanborn isn't a bad map for it, but I bring up the fact that Reynor has been pretty passive so far against that thought, right? Like, we've seen a lot of all-ins work on Oceanborn, but it does feel like maybe Reynor wants to play for the mid game and for the late game in Australia, as I have finally returned back to Land of Oz. But we missed out on a day, unfortunately, because of that. But here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have Showtime for BIG. And in the top left, we have his opponent, we have Reynor, the Italian Zerg, for Basilisk. Let's go. Our players have returned, and it all comes down to this. A big shout out to the sponsors, a big shout out to Team WE, to New TV, Double Esports, Aegon, Doyu, and SCBoy as well. Without all these sponsors, StarsWar 11 would not be possible, and we would not have StarCraft at the event either. So a big shout out to, of course, all the lovely sponsors. Most of them are Chinese based, so we can't really, you know, support those sponsors really here in the West. But regardless, big shout out nonetheless. Much love. Much love to the sponsors as we're settling into the ace match, into game number 5. It all ends here regardless of how this goes. This is the final game of the series and the final game of tonight's broadcast. Here we go. I would have assumed Reynor would have been more aggressive coming out of Katowice so early last month, but he's doing well. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you remember, Reynor, he publicly said and was talking about his approach to the game. This was last year for Home Story Cup, I believe, where Reynor was saying that he was really just like pulling back and easing up on more aggressive styles, and he was playing a little more macro oriented. That was like the advent of Reynor's like of his infatuation with the 15-15, like 15-15 openers, just really safe openers, getting into the mid game, getting into late game. Specifically, I think Reynor was doing that because he wanted to work on his late game. I think that Reynor, he was confident in how aggressive in his micro he could be, how fast he could be, but specifically, like a couple of months ago, he did say that he was working on his more mid to late game play instead, just to become a better player overall, just so that, you know, just improve his skill set. So yeah, I mean, I would say that it has paid off. Like, his mid to late game and his late game has been getting much better over time, as we've seen here against Showtime. But we'll see what he has to offer here in game 5. For now, Hatchgas Pool, standard opener out of Reynor, was forced to take the unnatural natural. Meanwhile, it's going to be a Stargate opener from Showtime. I do appreciate this. Like, we saw earlier this series that Showtime was trying to mix in some Glaive Adept builds. Didn't work. Didn't work. We can avoid that. I appreciate the much more standard start from Showtime as well. I do appreciate it. And from here, we're just going to be setting ourselves up. There are a couple more links on the way here from the side of Reynor. Actually, an extra pair as well, I believe, just to keep up with these adepts. We'll keep an eye on the production to see if he makes any more. Okay, we have pulled out of gas, so we're not going for a Bane Bust, no Roaches. There we go, and now getting back into droning. So Reynor just playing very safely here, trying to keep up with the adept aggression. And this time, Showtime will not come into the shade. He backs off. I do appreciate this out of Showtime, so he's going to be backing off, building up his adept count, looking to securely take his third base without too much issue. Speaking of the third, Reynor, he's in position to deny the third if at all possible. But the Lings are spotted by the Oracle. Showtime, he's aware. Should be able to deal with it. Should be able to expand. Should be able to expand here as, there we go, he zones away those Lings, throws down the Nexus. Oracle gets across the map, threatens that natural. No saturation though. Queens are in position in the main base, and oh yeah, we do get some hull damage dealt on the Oracle. Very nicely done. Good positioning out of Reynor. Does bleed out a drone, unfortunately. Nothing in position to protect that worker. No Spore at the third base either. Reynor cutting corners. Being a little bit greedy here, skipping out of the Spores. There we go. Now we get one Spore at that natural, but the third base is exposed, and is that where we're headed? And Reynor, he reads the rotation. You see the Queens heading over towards that third base. He's aware that it is a little bit vulnerable. Meanwhile, Adepts are moving out. That is going to be 6 Adepts on the ground, 3 Oracles in the sky. to threaten that shade. Behind this, Showtime going for a Twilight Council and a Forge this time, so it's not going to be 3-base all-in. We're not skipping out on upgrades, so a much more standard follow-up here by Showtime. So far, really standard play out of our German Protoss player. I mean, when we get in, we get 2 drone kills. Ooh, take a lot of hits. But at least we keep the Oracles alive. But in general, just really standard play here out of Showtime. Raynor going for a lair first into the Roach Warren. Likewise, standard play out of him. Raynor, he's not going Lingbane Hydra. It looks like he's going Lingbane Roach Ravager, or at least Ling Roach Ravager. So far, no one is deviating. No one is spicing it up. No one is taking any chances. Not yet. No one is taking any risks. As we do have the tumors being denied here in the center of the map. There's still an active tumor, and the transfuse is good enough. The Queen's Hold. Showtime does have to back off. So Raynor, he maintains his position, continues to spread that creep. Roach Warren finishing up. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so we're not going for melee. We're not going for melee. This is +1 range instead. This can lead into Hydras. This should lead into from Roaches into Hydra instead. There it is. Roach speed is on the way. We're selling in on Roaches first, but again, that +1 range is very interesting to me, as we're not going to be relying as heavily on Lingbane. Creep is spreading quite nicely as well. Raynor droning up to 74, but I'm curious if we're going to be cutting workers here and focusing on Roach production instead. You can see the creep is looking quite solid for Raynor. And are we cutting workers? It looks like we are. Oracle's going to be forced back. Lings, they try to engage, but they're going to be forced out as well. Overlords are amassing. You can see that Raynor, he's going for a max out Roach push. Look at the supplies here. Raynor, he's at 137 out of 184. He has a massive excess in Overlords. The reason for this is because Roaches take up a lot of supply, and he's just going all in. Like, he's going to be maxing out here on Roach, investing quite heavily, and wants to make sure he doesn't get supply blocked. And Showtime, without Immortals, without any Robotech, I am concerned for him. Now, as I say that, I have to eat my words a little bit. Raynor did make a massive wave of Roaches, but as we can see, he throws down a Spire. He's actually working towards Mutas instead. We're droning up as well. We're droning up to 80, which is, the ideal working count we want to stop at. But Raynor, it looks like he isn't pushing with +1, which I assumed he was. I assumed he was going to hit a +1 Roach timing and move out with Roach Ravager with a maxed out army. Instead, we can see him deviating away. He got +1 range, but now he's getting +1 melee. He's getting out of Roaches. He's going to be preserving his gas for the Mutas. Good surround here by Raynor. A very nice catch. Yeah, Stalkers are getting picked off. Very good trade here by Raynor. Showtime falling back. Shield batteries are not ready, by the way. Ooh, and this is going to be a rough trade here for Showtime. And again, if Raynor had just committed, then maybe he breaks Showtime here, but he's going to be forced back. Showtime defends. Showtime getting his 4th base, but he hasn't scouted. Showtime is building up towards Colossi. Charge, +2. Has some Blink Stalkers, yes, but he has not seen the Spire, and we have 15 Mutas on the way. Unscouted Spire and unscouted Mutas, they can end the game. It's a very real dynamic here in StarCraft in ZVP, where a Muta switch like this could just end the game if we're woefully underprepared with no Phoenixes, with a very low amount of Blink Stalkers. We have some cannons on the way, some shield batteries. That's great and all. We do see all the Lings. We should recognize, hold up, you're not making Roaches. Where are you spending your gas? Are you going into Hydra Lurker, or are you going into Muta? So Showtime is trying to cover his bases here. He's going for some walls of cannons. But this may be too much. I'm concerned that these Mutas are going to get too much damage dealt. Yeah, they're diving into the natural base. What do we have to defend? Oh no. We have a couple of Stalkers. No shield battery, no cannon. We focus down the Stalkers. We try to at least. And Stalkers are going down one after the other. Raynor just making sure the Stalker count stays low. Diving once again. He hasn't killed too many workers, but he's getting a lot of Stalkers. Yeah, Stalkers, they are falling, being forced back. We do have the Overcharge. Overcharge does keep some of them alive. Without Cloud of Mutas, it's impressive. It's terrifying. We got 14 probe kills and a good chunk of Stalkers. Worth it for Raynor. behind this, we're getting into Phoenix production, High Templar, Archons, I imagine Storm, and Raynor, he's doubling down on Ling Muta. He's still just pumping out more Mutas, more Lings. I do worry that we just don't have enough here for Showtime. He needs more time. I think he has one Phoenix. He has a couple of Archons. There we go, second Phoenix on the way. Oh, sorry, third Phoenix on the way. He's in position. Oh, the Oracles, no! Oh, the Oracles get caught out. Again, that's what's just so difficult here when it comes to dealing with Mutas, is just being in position, not getting caught out. Big stasis here on the Lings. Big stasis on Lings. Nice overcharge as well. Showtime is holding. Very nicely done. He defends his fourth and his natural. So far, Showtime is keeping up. There we go. Second Stargate. Fleet Beacon on the way. Feels like this tech is a little bit late, but you know, at least it's in production. The Muted Cloud is still terrifying. Is still terrifying, but Showtime, he's getting the answer ready. He's getting there. Like, these Mutas, I don't think they can dive on the army. Not with this many Archons. Yeah, just too many Archons in position. Good volleys going off there by Showtime. At the same time, though, it looks like Raynor is trying to distract the main army, getting ready for his Ling Roach run by. Anion Pulse Crystals on the way. Raynor working towards Ultras. Gets the stasis. The Colossus gets one. Big pickoff. Zek gets a Colossus. Again, the Ultras are on the horizon. Showtime doesn't know. Yeah, we're diving on the army. And we force the overcharge. Mutas, they focus down the Archons one after the other. They get both. There's not enough to break. Not enough to break through. Raynor bleeding out quite a bit here in the process. Bleeding out some Mutas, bleeding out some Roaches. Raynor, he's still maxing out. He still has map control. Ooh, takes down a Phoenix. Again, Phoenix range barely just now finishing after the fight. But Showtime, he's holding. He maxes out. He does max out. Now, the biggest concern that I have for Showtime is that I do like his army currently against what Raynor has. That will change when we incorporate Ultras. With the advent of Ultras, we need Sky Toss or Immortals. Just a heavier Immortal count. As we are picking up a good amount of Mutas at the same time as we're dragging Showtime out of position. Raynor getting ready for a big counterattack. And do we have a recall? Do we have anything at home to defend? Oh. As we collapse on the army, we collapse on the third base. Side defense going to be going down. Showtime, are we all in? No, he recalls. He recalls back home. I did see him leave a couple of Colossi back home, back across the map as well. Oh, they're exposed. The Colossi, get out of there. Mutas, they don't quite go for the dive. We lose 10 pros that we keep up. Showtime minimizing his losses. Pretty good. Pretty good so far. And you can see that Raynor, he's not actually making any Ultras. Not yet. He's going into Corruptor, which does help against Colossi and Phoenixes. It's a good way to help buffer and protect your Mutas. As it looks like we're going for a base trade. Remember, Showtime just recalled. Oh, Showtime, he just recalled, and there's no recalling from here. He has to commit. He takes down one base, but he's going to be losing a much more crucial base back at home. 8 probes go down. You can see Showtime is trying to turn back around with his Stalkers, bleeding out a lot of probes. A lot of probes are falling. Phoenixes did race back home. At the same time, Showtime is going for another base. Will take down this hatchery and potentially a lot of drones. And we can see the kill counts. 12 workers go down. We came to the production. We get on top of the Stargate. Oh, Phoenixes are falling to the Corruptors. And we get a Stargate as well. Meanwhile, a base has fallen. But I feel like Showtime has to come back home. I don't know if we can get another base. I think we're being a little bit too greedy there. As Mutas are amassing, he's going for another base. He doesn't care. He's sending it. He's sending it, Papi. Ling Runby takes down the third, but runs into Archons. Showtime, is he doing it? He's taking down the Corruptors. He gets another base. Now, these Colossi are vulnerable. The Colossi are very vulnerable. Mutas are amassing, but they're busy here dealing with these Phoenixes. Mutas are going down. Lings are being cleaned up. Raynor, he plummets in supply. And he's doing it Showtime. Who needs to recall? Just commit to the base trade, Bob. You can see Raynor shaking his head. He knows that He has nothing left. He cannot deal with the Colossi. He cannot deal with the main army. Not anymore. It was a risky move for Showtime, forced into the base trade. Again, I'm pretty sure if he had a recall available, he would have. Instead, he committed. He defends back at home. He deals damage across the map. And Raynor, he has almost nothing left. He's down to 2 Corruptors and a handful of Mutas. The most important mining base for Raynor, it's going to be focused down. And so many drones are falling. GG gets called, and Showtime, he does it. He takes the series 3-2, eliminates Raynor from the tournament, and qualifies for StarsWar 11. GG. Oh my papi. Showtime popping off there towards the end. I was so concerned. I'll be honest, I was smudging. I was counting him out when we saw the Spire. More importantly, when Showtime didn't see the Spire, I was concerned that the Muta switch would do too much damage, and it did do a lot of damage. Remember, early on, it killed 14 probes, it killed a lot of Stalkers, it dealt a lot of damage, but that was really the only damage that was dealt. After that, Showtime did such a great job at splitting up his army. He was doing such a great job at leaving his Archons at key bases, because Archons, they can hold their own against Lings and hold their own against Mutas, and he was never like marauding around with them. He was keeping the Archons pinned at certain bases, only moving out with Stalkers and Phoenixes to keep up with the Mutas. He minimized his losses, cleaned up the Mutas, did well for himself. And even though Raynor was working towards Ultras, and I was concerned about the Ultra switch, we didn't see a single Ultra. We did not see a single Ultralisk. We only saw Corruptors and Mutas instead, alongside the Lings, and we did overwhelm. Showtime did break through. GG, congratulations! We have our top 3. We have Skillus in that grand finals towards the end. Skillus was popping up, by the way. For those who don't know, Skillus, he 2-0'd Showtime, he 2-1'd Raynor, and Skillus took down Spirits as well earlier today. Skillus has been on fire recently. He has been looking unstoppable, at least against the players in this bracket. And can he be stopped? Can anyone stand up to Skillus? Tomorrow, we have the finals. Spirit versus Showtime, followed by the grand finals. The winner of that series up against Skillus. Let's go. My condolences to Raynor. My condolences to Raynor fans. Again, Raynor, he's an amazing player. He's a damn good player and did play well here against Showtime, but unfortunately, again, like, he just barely wasn't able to do enough here. When it came to the Mutas, for example, the initial revelation of them was good, but the follow-up, less so. We were lacking. With that, GG, well played. Ooh, and again, if you're a Raynor fan, I'm sure there's plenty more to keep an eye out for. Raynor has been very active in the ESL weeklies. If you've been watching the channel, you would know that ESL Open Cup Europe has been Raynor's stomping ground. Raynor has been playing every single week for the past couple of weeks in the ESL Open Cup, so you can tune in to see him face off against the Europeans there once again. On top of that, EPT Spring. EPT Spring. What is that? What? ESL Pro Tour Spring? Don't we usually have just like winter and summer and that's it? True, we usually only have winter and summer, but this year we have spring as well. DreamHack Dallas is on the horizon. DreamHack Dallas is around the corner, and it's going to be an amazing time, and that is what a lot of players are focusing on right now. Players that have been knocked out of StarsWar 11 at least have EPT Spring to look forward to. So players like Clem, Cyril, Lambo, Hero Marine, Raynor, these players that won't be a part of StarsWar 11 at least have EPT Spring to look forward to, and Gamers 8, the World Finals. So plenty more is ahead of us with that. Congratulations. So these 3 qualified are only the winner. 3 qualify. So top 3 qualify, so they've already qualified, but they're still playing for seeding, and they're still playing for prize money. So a good chunk of money on the line. So yeah, they're still going to be playing out tomorrow, but the pressure is off because, hey, they've already made it through. They've already made it through, so they've gone through the hard part, I should say. Gone through the hard part. So congratulations here to, sorry, I should fix it up on screen. Congratulations to Showtime. What were the bet lines looking like? What were the predictions in the chat? Oh my, 72% in favor of Raynor. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I was favoring Raynor as well. But congratulations to Showtime. And congratulations to the people that did place their channel points on him as well. Decent payout there. And we're done for the night. We are done for the night, but we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back tomorrow with some more StarsWar 11 qualifiers with the final day of the European and the Americas region. We're also going to be live tomorrow, let me just double check, with Sparkling Tuna Cup. The Sparkling Tuna Cup is going to be live in less than 24 hours. We're going to be casting that first, and then we're going to be following that with StarsWar 11. So 2 broadcasts back to back, plenty of StarCraft available tomorrow for you. There you go. With that, thanks for watching, thanks for the support. We're going to be done here for the night, and stick around, we're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid, not too sure who. Let's quickly just double check here. Who is live? Who can we send our love to? I don't really see, do I recognize anyone? We'll find someone to raid. Don't you worry. Maybe Snake Styles. We try to raid smaller streamers, but I'll roll the dice. We'll find someone. Regardless, stick around, give them some love, give them some support. You can follow us at !socials in the chat. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. We're all over the place. All things CranKy, Ducklings. And again, we're back tomorrow here with some more StarCraft action, as we always are. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. See you tomorrow for some more StarsWar.